the aggressive stop.
Yes.
This market can turn on a dime. You know, it's very, very news-based. I want to thank everybody for such a great week. If those of you aren't joining Adobe, I said it again, man. It's a stock that you're, okay. If you haven't joined Obi and I all week, man, it's been a blast. So thanks, Obi.
For sure.
And make sure you guys do join us both back again for one last bit of trading for the two of us at 2 o'clock, 2 to 4 p.m. Obi and I will be right back on the desk. You're in for a treat though right now because it's Sharif, it's Joe, it's the midday talk. The market just broke the lows of the day right now as we're getting lower here. I think this might be worth a hold, man. Right now on the Nasdaq. So bye. Ciao Bella. We'll see you later on. It's the midday show. Thanks Adair for everything today. Thanks Brendan. Thanks Todd for coming through earlier as well. Go get those mushrooms and put them in your pasta tonight. See everybody at 2 p.m. Thanks for watching. Hope you had some good trades. Ciao.
Yeah.
Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Bang! Welcome to the midday show. That's your boy, Joey freaking Options. Hey, and I'm Sharif. And let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Who we got, Joey? We got Mr. Leahy, JC Coingy, shout out to Pedro Martinez, Dino, Emiliam, Scott, Asha, or Ashraf, my bad. Ashraf, hey, there we go. Mike PD Ryder, we got Sage88 and Alan Smith, MF Jane Dangerous, Pizza Gang, Flora, Apple G King. Shout out to Hangry freaking wife, who I just found out it's actually the husband that's on the account, which is fine.
Get angry.
We got Ichiro. I am Ichiro, Trader TV forever. Shout out to Star Cheese, TLK 2278. We even have Peng 9179, Taylor Brennan, Luis Suarez, not the guy who bites people. The real, Luis Suarez over here. Texas boy, Random Brantley. Shout out to Zuckerborg and Chris Onion, Damian Tarza, and Gorev.
Oh, he's in the chat.
He is, man. He is. I love his picture there because it's like a face, like,
man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Hinzi. We got Sage Escapes, Stone Broke, 4182, Mr. Puka, Triple Eights, and Donkey Trader. Shout out to G-Talk and Bastone. Farm Trader, Sarah McCarthy. You are our favorite, Sarah. We love you. Brinklund and Ryan O'Day. You want to shout some people out, Joe?
Yeah, well, I mean, my boy Ryan O'Day is in the chat as well, too. Who else do we got in there? We got Pretty Nisi. What's going on? Johnny T. What's up, Johnny Tess? For those, I think that's a kid show. Green Day. Yo. What's up, everyone? American flag. Let's roll, says, what up, says Pedra. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Adam,
Josephus.
James abroad. Yo, Josephus, says Chris.
Like that one.
What's up, my friend? Friends, I should say. All right, guys, let's get right into things.
My friend.
Let's see what we typically get up to here bright and early. No easing in. We're just full-fledged. Just get into the talks of what we had. All right, Bitcoin at its peak was up around 4%, guys. So we're like, if we're going to be an all-day grind, let's get involved in this. So first attempt on this one, we finally get rocking and rolling. Boom, boom, boom. Take some more off, and then I add for the high of the day break. Just free rolling, and then we get out. I tried one more attempt for the continuation of the volume-weighted average price, but then it breaks through, and the momentum really started to pick up. So that was my green light to get out, but not too bad of a trade here right now. The ad didn't work on this one. That's fine. We still locked some in, and then the second attempt didn't work, but that's all right. We're not going to complain about it whatsoever. Maybe we find somewhat of a bottom here in Bitcoin, but not with USO continuing to climb here, guys. Market going down, USO going up. Inverse correlation, we've been talking about that for the past couple of days.
9606.
Nothing crazy on my radar. I've seen that Obi's been in Adobe for quite some time, so nice work on that one. Sean was trading the TQs on both ways, so essentially long and short. Bang, hit that. We'll hit this one for the gentleman to the right of us. We'll hit the money on that, so congratulations. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, though. But other than that, guys, TQQs, NVDA, you can see on the day they were still stuck within this consolidation zone. Condorland. Now USO continuing to climb, and IBIT. One more thing before we send it off to our boy Sharif, and I want to point this out. We talk about the supply zone and hiding behind where the real larger participants are making their plays. How do we identify this stuff? In the options chain, very simple. I didn't want to hit that there, Sharif. Very simple. We just look at the open interest. What do I got going on here now? All right. Now, moving forward, I was pulling this up, and we were talking about this specific contract the other day, expiring March 20th, right? We were looking at this around 65 to almost a high of around $70. Well, guess what? Mazal, it's now down 50% from that previous level, all right? So that contract already cut in half in the span of a couple of trading sessions. Not too bad. Massive open interest, 240. That was sitting at around 266,000 contracts. So some participants starting to close their positions at that specific level.
All right, guys, let's, here's what we're looking at right now. So there's some going, some pulling back. We're gonna hope that they continue. We're gonna see BIAF looks like a big mover here, up over triple digits, about 108% give or take. It's coming into that 2.25. I really like that $2 to $2.10 area. That's the volume weighted average price, and obviously the whole dollar level also an important area for me. I'll be looking at that. ISPC it was nice and then it wasn't, right? It can't really clear, or did it? I think it did clear the pre-market high by marginal amounts, 46.79 after market high yesterday, pre-market high 47.28, so it did clear it, but didn't really do much, so it looks like a double top, fading right now below that 41 penny level where VWAP is at, so ISPC continuing to bleed its own blood. I'm in CSTE right here. I'm looking for this to hold prior bar, okay? It's up 46. It just broke out right when we were getting on the show. I thought it was going to reject the dollar and bleed its own blood all the way down. It's trying to hold up. We're going to give this one the old college try. 1R, 114, 2R, 123, 3R, 132. So we're going to see where this one can get. High of day 104. ELPW. This one also kind of looks like the best trade is behind it. Breaks out yesterday in the aftermarket at about half after 4. And it makes a high, I want to say, of about 640. Pre-market high, the best it could do was around 7 a.m., got to about 576, and then now it's trading below VWAP, so also a bit of a struggle there. Upixi, obviously, not a small cap gapper, but we're going to look at it as one. And the one that the prickly one, shout out to Adam James, AIFF, pointing that out, 259. Not a bad look on that one. We're going to be definitely keeping an eye
on that one.
Yeah, I saw it. That's why. I just have to see exactly what the situation is here. So let's go ahead and see what we can get up here at CSTE. I'm going to put some profit takers. So if this one does clear the 100, it'll be good news. We'll see. Let's put some as well at 1R. Okay, so we're going to give this one the old college try. If it loses the prior bar low, then we're out. This current bar, even though it does look ugly because it's topping tail through the dollar, it does have a higher low and a higher high. So let's see if this one can clear the dollar. I'm assuming there's going to be bamboozlement along the way. Typically is when you're coming from south of a dollar and you're at that dollar level. Let's see who ends up winning this battle, the longs or the shorts. AIFF, the one I want to focus on here. This is, shout out to Adam James. Thank you, brother, for the $2 super chat. Always doing it live, calling me a gooner, which I don't mind because that's what you call Arsenal fans. 230 is where VWAP is at. 235 is where the 10 EMA on the 5 is, and this one has been quite respectful of the 10 moving average, as you can see on the way up. It claimed it at about 935, and it really hasn't looked back. Looking at it back, only touching it a couple of times, 1015, and then there was one over here at 1055, 259 high, and it looks like it's really rocketing up, so we're gonna keep an eye here on AIFF. I'm very interested if it can, we're gonna get stopped out here we did get stopped out, of CSTE. So this one does break down and we'll go 0 for 1 to start the day, but we're gonna keep an eye on whatever else is moving. So CSTE, this is a super bamboozling candle. Breaches prior bar high, breaches prior bar low. So super engulfing, bearish engulfing. Let's see if this one can hold up at around 90 pennies, 87, or I wanna say 88. That's where the 10 EMA is. But it looks like the price action developed really quickly here, and VWAP is substantially higher than the 10 EMA right now, which typically is not the case. So we're going to keep an eye on AIFF. Also, pardon me, voice is going, SCVO. This one has an unbroken downtrend. Also, it's kind of spready. It is trying to maintain its price above VWAP at around 4 1/3, but it doesn't really, it doesn't look appetizing because it can't clear the $0.50 and hasn't been able to really print anything on a closing basis above the $0.50 saving except for one candle, and that was that 950, and then it immediately retraced with lower highs. So I perceive there to be a bearish lower high pattern and as well as a very clear area of resistance at 450 on the SCVO. We'll see if it can clear it. Last but not least, CXAI. This one is also struggling to get back above the volume weighted average price. It does look like there are buyers stepping in multiple times at around the $0.25, but anytime it really tries to breach VWAP, you can see how basically all of them have failed. The 6 a.m. breakout failed. I want to say the 8:15, 8:20 breakout failed. You got another failure here at the open 9:35, so it's really struggled. We'll see if it changes its tune. It doesn't really look like it's going to. So the best run right now, in my humble submission, is the one that your boy Adam James just supered about, which is AIFF. It's not up a lot, to be fair. It's up 43, 45% now. We'll see if we can pick it up at around 240. My buy zone is between 230 to 240. Couple of reasons for that, as I mentioned, 10 EMA and VWAP. But I perceive this to be a bull flag. And the bull flag component range is about, say, 245 to the high side, about 230 to the downside. So that gives me a range with which I can pick it up at. If it loses that range, it will lose VWAP. It will also lose the bull flag range. And then I'm clearly not interested in it at that point. So those are the 8 that I'm looking at. They look like a light bunch today with only really BIAF and AIFF holding up right now. And other than that, guys, I don't really like anything else. Grunfeld says, look at SHIM. All right, let's take a look at that before we send it to your boy Joey Opsh.
That.
What's that? Hold on. I have to load this up.
I didn't say I said what's that?
What's that? What is this, brother? Volume lower, but brother, this is a 5-minute chart. What am I looking at here? This thing has done 118,000 shares, Grunfeld. It's up 22%. I mean, I'll give you that. But yeah, it's sparsely traded. If you're investing or you're swinging, I get it. But intraday, this is tough to trade, right? Like there's barely any candles that show up on the chart, right? Just a bunch of lines. So this one I'm gonna have to respectfully say no to. But hey, if it picks up volume, I'm game, right? But yeah, Joey, that's all I'm looking at right now. It seems to be a light bunch. I'm not gonna take any dumbass trades. So unless something sets up, we're not gonna punch.
All right, you don't like that, angry wife? Wow, that's
what happened,
crazy, Joey? My friend. Literally,
literally,
I throw the kitchen sink at the Topuria knockout. That's me, right? Like I kind of pick here and there. I had this up at it's not up on the odds just yet, but the kitchen sink is getting tossed out at that KO because I think it's gonna happen relatively quick. Oh, the UFC White House card is called Freedom 250.
Okay, that's pretty sick. There was rumblings that.
No, it's so nasty.
Exactly. I was just about to mention that, Katina man, because Dana was pushing back against that hard when he was asked why, like something about John Jones being on the card. He's like, John Jones is retired. He's got arthritis in his hips or whatever.
John Jones was super salty about
Didn't he retire because of the arthritis?
Well, he's in and out of retirement. John Jones, man. Well, I mean, if you don't know John Jones, he's retired. He's had his career, right? He's kind of pulling the Conor McGregor where it's tough for him to leave, right? He's not accepting that, hey, you're done now, move forward, go find something else. Like McGregor still thinks he's coming back. He's been coming back for 4 years now. So, I mean, aside from that, but yeah, thanks, appreciate that, Danny Nunes. But yeah, the kitchen sink's getting tossed at the Topuria knockout. That is, I mean, I'm not going to go for a round or anything along those lines, but I think it's going to happen within the first 3. We're going to head over to Adara momentarily, and then we're going to get right back into some of the
You know what I watched yesterday? Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. I had not seen that fight because that was back in 17. I had taken a little bit of break from boxing.
Porter was on a little bit of a run, but then Earl Spence gave him a little bit of a whooping, and then that was
but like Terrence made him look bad.
Yeah, well, he's like a wide looper, right? Yeah.
All right, Adara.
Talk here about PL and SPIR. Now, Planet Labs is PL, Spire Global is SPIR. Both these companies on the move, though I would say PL definitely moving a little bit better here and more significant of a bounce. New York Times reporting that the Trump administration is considering proposals to break up one of the world's leading climate and weather laboratories and then transfer the work of this group to universities and private companies. Now, both PL and SPIR, I looked into them. They're doing research in the weather and climate and satellite spaces. So both of these companies would benefit if the Trump administration did go this route. So again, New York Times reporting Trump administration considering breaking up one of the world's leading climate and weather labs, giving its work to private companies, PL and SPIR, on watch with this headline. Back to you.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, guys, let's get into some Bitcoin talk here. We're starting to climb back. It was an aggressive move to the downside, so we're starting to see that opposite reaction right now. I was hoping for a pullback into 4110s after we started to uptick here, but we're not getting that right now. And then you can see the strengths being displayed in the tape. Some clean flushes at and above the ask. You can see the darker green just below here is above the ask, and then now we're getting some flashes. So there it is, a nice pool, boom, boom, boom. So some strength being displayed here in Bitcoin, and I thought this would be a little bit stronger of a session considering the market wasn't really doing anything, started to sell off, and Bitcoin was holding strong. Now we're getting that rebound up 30 cents off of, roughly around those lows. So any form of a pullback into key support levels, 4110, 4115s, I think I'm going to look to engage in this one there for sure. So that's what I got on my mind. USO slowly starting to come back in. Nothing much though, guys. The breadths on this are relatively weak, right? So you're getting these strong up moves, but it doesn't look like sellers are extremely engaged, and the buyers just keep stepping in and around the lows, which is really important. NVDA is curling over, so that's most likely going to drag the Nasdaq down with it. I want to see how we react around the volume-weighted average price on Bitcoin, because if we don't get that aggressive pullback back down to 4110s, 4115s, then I want to see if we have the ability to reclaim VWAP and then maybe hold it, and then I think we can maybe get a continuation of the trend. Why am I thinking this? I really like what we're seeing on the daily, okay? So we have that curl over. I talked about the multi-month consolidations time and time again, but then you start to get a little bit of that inverse turtle shell type price action, and now we're back to where this previous breakout was. It took some time, but a nice steady grind to the top side, and that's kind of what we want to see here. Maybe we get one of those strong up thrust days, and then leading into the weekend, I know Katina Man was talking about a 10% move. Maybe, possibly, but I just don't think we're at that stage yet, but anything can happen in Bitcoin. You can have those aggressive, strong days. So let's be patient. It's either wait for the volume-weighted average price or 4115s, and those are going to be my primary entry points on that specific name. We can take a look at the options chain as well, too, to see what we got going on from an open interest standpoint. Guys, I could talk, obviously, fight game all day, and I know it's Friday, so don't tempt me with it, because
Do it, bro.
Yeah, I will. I will, man. Yeah. Sean Porter, I mean, he's a dog, right? You got to give him. You got to give him. That's Jean Silva. You would like Jean Silva, man. He's a real UFC dog.
I don't even know who that is, dog.
He's a UFC fighter. Oh, he's part of the Fighting Nerds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, now I know
Nerds.
They're all Brazilian? Didn't you say they were Brazilian?
Yeah, they're Brazilian. Right. They're Brazilian. Yeah. Kai Borrello won versus DeRitter, who I thought was going to actually win that fight, but Shadow Kai or Kaio is
Get
his
it,
name.
Kai.
Yeah. So here it is. It's Kaio. I like the Brazilian. The Brazilians have a vast array of names. Did you notice that? There's some very interesting names coming out of Brazil. $43. That could be a potential benchmark, but 42 right now, and I did a rough trend line. $42 is roughly around the top end of this trend. We have two connecting pivots, so we can definitely run into that, but there is some supply that we need to keep an eye out for.
All right, man. A couple of trades on right now. Thank you, Bovin, for pointing out Ocugen. Look, we took that bounce off VWAP on Ocugen, I think, a couple of days ago, and it was good. Giving it a try here. It's having trouble really kind of continuing. The volume's dropping off a little bit on Ocugen. OCGN up 9.72. But it was a good VWAP hold last time. We'll see if it's a good VWAP hold this time or what the situation is. We're at 57s. It's showing me 58s. There is nothing to write home about at the moment. Separately, we're also involved in SVCO. This one did break trend, but I kind of neglected to see that it had resistance at 60. I might move up my stop on this one so that if it breaches the downtrend line, then I might get out. I had originally given it to VWAP. I was giving getting it to this level right here, having gotten in at 55, is now showing me about 40, 48, no, 49 on the bid, 53 on the ask. So we're not really that much out of the money. I might give it to, 40s, high 30s. We'll see. I'll let the price action develop a little bit more before I make the decision. But AIFF, man, it's not really giving me an opportunity to get in. It keeps defending that 50 penny level. So maybe I should just look at it as a 50 defend with a prior bar low. Prior bar low on the 5 at the 11:15 candle is 247, currently showing me 255. But it's not exactly rocketing up either, right? Yeah, let's watch here a little bit more. It's got a couple of bottoming tail candles. So the candle at 11:10, bottoming tail. The candle at 11:15, bottoming tail. This one, the 11:20 candle just opened up, so we don't have much in the way of price action development. But hey, it's defended the 10 umpteen amount of time. So I think I'm going to give this one the old college try. Multiple positions, but we're going to do this anyway. We're going to do it live. So 255, or let's just say 256 entry with, I'm going to have a tight stop here, man. If it loses the 10 EMA, I'm out. So we're going to go 239s on this bad boy here. 239 out, which gives me that many. All right, good. So we're going to give AIFF here the old college try, even though I see how I feel. Here comes the $50. Let's get in here. Boom. So we're going to give it to 39s, as I said. So let's go into 239 and see if we can kind of not have that much slippage, right? So there we go. Good luck. Let's look at the other trades. Okay, SVCO into 58. We're at 55. I'm looking at wetting the beak here at, where is it? No, that's not the one. We're looking at wetting the beak here at 65. My 1R is 70. 1R on this monster is 75. No, that's the wrong one. Looking. All right, I'll look in a second. But I got to put them on my 1Rs. I got to put them on my side chart so I don't keep looking on my calculator. In any event, looking for SVCO, here comes 60. Let's see if it can clear that 60 area. It had trouble with that 60 area at 10:15. That's the high of which was 59. So if we can get above that 59, that'll breach the bar high at 10:15. So that's what I'm looking for there. And that's really it. T2 trades, UPXI. I got that on here, brother. Got a small position just below VWAP. Needs to probably hold here, though. Yeah, 112 VWAP, but there is that 110 and 112 area on UPXI because the breakout area I perceive to be at around 110. That was the 930 bar high. Comes into 110, 111, but VWAP's evolved to get into 112. So I would say give yourself a zone, 110 to 112. If you can. If you can't, if that doesn't fit your parameters, then stop out at 12. It's got a downtrend here that's unbroken, so you need to be alive to that as well, but I'm sure you already are. So keep me apprised about that, brother. So yeah, that's it, Joey. We're holding 3 positions here. Let's see how they do.
All right, man. Yeah, let's take a look at it as NVDA is putting in a potentially new low of the day or heading towards that neck of the woods, guys. I want to focus on this here. Stevenson, I see that you're loading up on the NAS. That's not horrible, but we talked about this for quite some time, right? I just don't like this consolidation, considering I officially think that we broke this. Well, we have broke this uptrend, but now we're just trending to the east. No specific direction, a lot of congestion. I think at some point we might see an aggressive flush, and then I think our target might be around 581 or something along those lines, or where's that next pivot? I mean, I was just doing some basic due diligence, nothing absolutely insane, and I think we've done this as a collective unit before. Wow, the charts are charting today, Sharif.
Are they working?
They're working, man.
That's a shock.
That's exactly what we want to see. But
shock.
Let's just do a quick example here of what I was looking at. Yeah, I mean, Assassino, you could hit the dent, but here it is, right? So we have that leg up. You come back, you essentially hit that wick, right? So you've been on a run, same of a base, so you don't quite get to that specific zone just yet, but you experience somewhat of a pullback. And then it's like, where is that next kind of base? Where's that next level at that we can kind of gauge on where we can potentially pull back to? And what I'm looking at here right now is essentially,
What are you looking at?
I'm not going to say 413. I think that would be a little bit aggressive in my opinion.
Okay.
Just drawing these basic lines, but we're pretty far away from that. But if we were going to do that, so essentially what I'm looking at here is the over-under. So we have this peak, we pull back, we climb higher, we come back, we retest that specific zone on the weekly, we bounce. So where can we come into? 542. Things will be pretty ugly at that point. I don't know if we officially hit bear market territory, not even. You're still about 6% off of the previous highs. But I mean, over time, I wouldn't be surprised. I think if we do get this area, I think this could be a good buying opportunity for the market to overall pivot. And if things get really bad, you want to look for that next potential base. But 412, I don't think it's going to be in the works. But this is just my personal thinking, right? Considering we have this touch, you pull back, you bounce off of that zone. Let's see if we can use this previous pivot, bounce off of that, and so on and so forth, right? So there's another one right here. You pull back, and then eventually you don't get quite that low, and then you continue to climb higher. And I think that's going to be the nature of the beast here. Same with the SPY, right? So we'd take a look over at the SPY. The financials are really lagging right now, obviously, with that private credit issue. I think that's just a little bit of noise. Eventually, that'll get brushed under the rug because we need the financials to continue to climb higher if we're looking to climb in the SPY.
You're not worried about that, eh? All right.
You know what, on the Sharif?
Yes, sir.
Why would I be worried about? What do we?
Show 'em the chart, Joey.
What do we got to be worried about here?
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
I completely agree. But, you know, people, they tend to get a little tunnel vision.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
look at the wider chart,
Yeah,
right? And a lot of people, like, let's be fair, not everybody is a long-term investor.
No,
Some people
no.
do rely on, you know, income generated for short-term trade. So, you know.
And if that's the case, you have to worry about the noise.
There you go.
Right? You worry
There you
about the
go.
noise. If you're not, then it's just like, hey, oh, cool, we pulled back 15%. If you're sitting on a little bit of cash, which
Right.
you guys did a poll yesterday, a lot of people seem to be heavily invested, which makes it more difficult to buy the dip. But if you are one of the fortunate individuals who is sitting on cash, then I think they're good buying opportunities because, as Obi would say, what does the chart say? Stonks only go up. And I mean, what is this? 2008 is the last time we've seen something aggressive.
Tell 'em,
the
Joey.
GFC, and then what after that was COVID. Like, get that garbage out of here. Everything gets bought back up eventually. COVID was bought back up in a span of 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of selling. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just buy everything because everybody's at home essentially. And I'm not saying that it's going to be the case this time, but
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I think in the grand scheme of things, unless the sky literally starts falling and serious
the sky is falling down.
warheads really start hitting different
Get it,
places,
Adira. Yeah.
then there might be a little bit something to worry about.
All right, here we go. This is the look on BlackRock. Thank you very much, Adam, James, the prickly one as I call him. $2 super chat. Thank you very much. This is the look here, Joseph. Options on BLK. This is BlackRock. Obviously, a very expensive stock. We're not looking to trade it. Well, at least I'm not. But yeah, this is not a great looking chart, man. It's not. We lost that $1,000 level, which at least to me looked like an important area of support. Look, there's a lot of other things that have happened here. Now, I don't want to start, you know, pontificating about the moving average crossovers because we did get a crossover back in May 25, and it looks like it was a little consolidative then. So I don't think that this is the best gauge. You know, or the best name to look at for these crossovers, but you did lose that $1,000 area. Now, this is also an important area of both support and resistance. It was clearly resistance back in mid-25. You have support here in November for the $1,000 area. Clearly, we're below that, but that was the tariff tantrum, and I think that that's an outlying event. Let's go back a little bit more. Let's go to the weekly on this monster, see what the situation looks there. Moving. Yeah, this $950,000 area is super important as well. That was COVID area highs. So, let's not panic too much. We're at 934 and we haven't spent that much time below it, but it is something to be on the lookout for here. Certainly. Now, the 200 exponential and simple moving averages on the weekly are at a little bit or below 900, and that's the exponential. The simple is around 850. Now, you did defend that during the tariff tantrum. You spent all but no time below that level. Look how quickly we were able to bounce up. So keep in mind, right, now the distance between the exponential and the simple is a little wide. It's about a little bit more than $50, or looks to be about $50 on BLK here, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. When you're restricting redemptions, even though they're contractually within their rights to restrict redemptions so that they don't become illiquid, it's not a good look. When people, it's like, you ever hear about runs on the bank? like in Lebanon, when they started restricting the US dollar. In Argentina, there were so many runs on the bank. And like when the banks start saying to people, no, you can't withdraw your own money.
Yeah.
People don't like hearing that, man. So that's the look. I think I'm going to get stopped out of OCGN here. It's at VWAP. Oh, I did get stopped out. Assassino. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I just got stopped out now. Don't worry about it, Assassino. I thought the position board wasn't. Yeah, I know that. it stopped me out pretty fast there, yeah. But Ocugen got stopped out. That one looks like it's putting in a lower high. So we're 0 for 2 to start the day, but we got a couple of positions here that I don't really mind holding at the moment, AIFF and SVCO. So let's see if we can make it back. We're risking exactly the same amount per trade. We've been risking on the week. We've sized up now. We're taking more shares, and we're taking more shares on a weekly incremental basis. So last week was, the first really step up in size. And then this week is another step up. So we're going to continue to kind of do that. And hopefully, things work out. We're going to follow the exact same plan we've been doing. So that is the look. Just before we go to Adara, EONR, Sharif, you missed 8 cents. Let me have a quick look here at what EONR is doing. I'm also keeping an eye on BIAF because that one looks like it might be running. EONR, let's flip to the 5 minute. Relax, Sharif. Brother, I can't trade this until it gets above VWAP. Also, it's like an uninterrupted downtrend. This is not appetizing for me at all. I mean, look at the pre-market high at 4 or 5 a.m. It's $1.96. We're showing $1.47 right now. So it's no go for me under my system. But if it changes tune, as will I. Adair.
Crypto. Interesting look here for Bitcoin, breaking above that 74,000 level. Now, this is significant because this was that same level that was the high on March 4th, last Wednesday, which is when we had that massive rally across a lot of these crypto names. The high then was 74,100. Today's high, just shy of 74. So that 74,000 level continuing to be a level of support and resistance. Now, if you go way back, this is not the first time this has come up. 74,000 was a level of support going back to Monday, April 7th. This was around the time of what we call the tariff tantrum. That formed as a level of support then. Then it was resistance. If you go back to this was the previous all-time high in March of 2024. We broke above that level during the election in November of 2024. So this 74,000 level, absolutely not new. It's something that's going to come up probably again and again. And it's interesting because Ethereum also coming into that March 4th high and then pulling back. But in the case of Ethereum, we actually break the March 4th high. March 4th high was 2,200 on the dot. Today, high of 2211, so just barely breaking above that level. If you look at the weekly here on Ethereum, ETH, trying to come into last week's high as well. Again, that 2200, and we did briefly break it, but Ethereum trying to have its first green week after 7 weeks of selling. BTC is poised for its second straight green week. So we'll have to wait and see here if these crypto names can surpass last week's high as we have, a couple days to go for Bitcoin's end of week, which would be on Sunday. Back to you.
Good stuff. Okay, a helicopter ride can. Okay, nice, Stevenson. Have fun with that one. Guys, we waited for that level to come into play. We were talking about 4110, 4115s. We're starting to get a little bit of a bounce. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves or anything along those lines. Yeah, Bailey button. Let's go. Let's see if we can get that move that we're looking for. That was going to be a pullback here, but the downtrend is still intact here, guys. Let's not forget that. What we do have going for us right now is just a little bit of a higher low. If this breaks and then you can see that price opens up on the lower end of this, on the backside of this trend, then that's something that we need to be alarmed about. But as of right now, it's not looking too horrible. So we'll keep an eye out on Bitcoin. And then maybe if we get really strong and start to recover, break through some key pivot levels, there could be a good add opportunity. All right. So not a bad entry. Patience is extremely key, especially when you're trading this name. What I don't love is that USO. I was looking at this name at 1657. Now we're trading at 1820s and continuing to climb. I don't know if this supply zone on the options chain, I don't know how much weight we can put behind the USO options chain right now. I just think there's too many factors that are coming into play besides technical and supply zones from a derivative standpoint. We're over at the March 20th expiration and 16,000 considering, right? It's substantially larger than what we're seeing on the rest of the chain, but I don't really think it's coming into factor. 150% down to 127%, so you're going to see a decrease in the contracts alone just from the volatility. All right, so we'll pull back. You have that massive gap down where you lose 30%. in that contract value from yesterday's session, or even this morning, opening up this morning. It's just like, boom, see you later, and you're losing a lot of value. So not too good of a look there in the depreciation of implied volatility, unless you're a writer. That's a writer's dream. So nice little pop up there. Let's go IBIT. Key pivot high. If this resistance zone really starts to reject and then you can see sellers step back in, then it might crack that. But at this point, it's working for us and we're going to stick in this trade.
Watching BIAF, it may be breaking trend here. I'm suspicious, so I'm continuing to watch. I mean, it hasn't decisively broken trend. Let me make my case to you guys here for a sec. You know, it still fits within that lower trend line. You're going to get these outlying moments. All right, we opened up a new candle now. If you want to get in, you can give it to prior bar low. It could hold trend, 242. Let's give this one a try. Let's see. So if we get in 242, we have to give it to prior bar low at the latest, which is 229. So that would put us there. All right, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I just, you know, I don't want to get in too quickly here on a one candle break, but it does look like it's forming a bottom at a predictable area, mind you. This 230 area was a support area initially. I want to say from 945 till about 1010, even before that. So yeah, 945 to about 1010, which is a pretty respectable support area there. So we'll keep an eye out on BIAF, but I'm not quick to want to jump into it at the moment, but I am worried about AIFF here because this one is a bit of a prolonged downtrend now, essentially putting in lower high since the high of the day at 1110, 1115 low, 1120 lower high, lower high, lower high. We're not below the 10 EMA on the 5. We're still above it. Obviously, we're still above VWAP, but I'm going to keep a close eye on this one. Let's see if BIAF, though, can break prior bar high. If it can, I think that will give me a little bit more confidence. So prior bar high is 243. I've based my entry on this one at 42, same difference. Let's see if it can breach prior bar high, and then we'll give it to prior bar low. Here's 43. Good look, okay. Perfect. Let's see if we can get in here. So we'll give it to prior bar low, which is, as I mentioned, 29. So 228 on that one. Perfect. So 220, we have to give it a 25. All right, that's cool. That's no worries there. We'll see if this one's got the juice to kind of take out some levels. It doesn't feel like a lot of them have continuation today, at least not yet, right? Because you're kind of seeing fading here into the 10 EMAs, possibly holding, possibly not. We already saw Ocugen kind of give up the ghost, but BIAF is a big winner on the day. It's up over triple digits, so be on the lookout for that. Packing the patience here, Joey. Oh, sorry, yeah, we're going to Adair.
SHC is spiking higher here. Nope. So Terra Health, SHC story here is New York Times reporting that the EPA is moving to weaken limits on a cancer-causing gas. Now, you might ask, what does this have to do with SHC? I looked into it, and so Terra Health is apparently known for using a known carcinogen in some of their factories. So if there is any kind of move to weaken limits on these carcinogenic gases, it's likely going to benefit SHC. The stock is pushing higher. I think around 1 million shares traded on the day, so nothing super liquid, but certainly some movement here in action in SHC, including with volume.
All right, good look there, guys. So the trend did break in IBIT. Let's see if we can get any form of a rebound. As soon as it breaks through the low of the day, you got to get out of the trade, essentially, because thesis invalid. Trend line not holding up how we wanted it to exactly, but we don't want to jump the gun too early. If we get a 5-minute print opening below and the market continues to sell off here because it looks extremely weak and USO continuing to climb, then we're probably going to have to get out of Dodge. There is some signs of strength right there that we're not going to complain about. Nice indecision print. Looking at the detail here in some of the price action prints, and then maybe we can get somewhat of a move, because I do feel that it was stronger. Nice channel to the top end, but then it did crack. So let's see if we can get buyers to step right back into Bitcoin, and if it's attractive today. All right, Adam James, only guaranteed in World at the Money is Arsenal is going to choke.
I hate this guy, bro. Man. Hold on, who are we playing? Again, we played poorly in the Champions League midweek. Thankfully, we were able to tie the game.
The one you were watching?
Yeah, so there was 0-0 at the half, right? Yeah. Then they scored right at the beginning of the second half. Then Arsenal scored late, so it ended up being 1-1. It's one of those ones where there's two legs, one on your turf, one on mine. So that's how Champions League works.
So what's
aggregate? So right now it's 1-1 on aggregate, and then we play at Arsenal in London next week,
they
right?
They haven't. Okay, yeah.
So
they haven't.
I don't want to say it's a win, but when you go away and you tie, advantage home team, right? But Leverkusen, we shouldn't be tying to. But in Arsenal's current form, I'm not surprised at all. The form is dropping off. I'm assuming it has a lot to do with endurance, because he plays these guys super hard, and they're not looking good anymore. So tomorrow, the 14th, right? We're playing Everton at home at 1:30, which is the afternoon game. I think we should be able to handle Everton. Everton's 8th. They're not that bad this year. 8th is pretty good in the Premier League, so at least your top half. But it's been tough. It's been tough, man. Second half of the season for Arsenal. Thankfully, other teams are struggling as well. City is struggling at the moment. You saw the ass whooping that they got from Real Madrid, 3-0. It was they caught hands. It was pretty bad. Man, Valverde, what the hell is going on? Unbelievable. This guy gets the captain's armband, and now he's like some superstar. I realize he's been a starter for a minute, but I didn't peg him to be that good. He had some goals on, what day was that? Was Tuesday or Wednesday? Unbelievable from Valverde. Very impressed with his goals there. So shout out to the Madrid fans. Jam Locky, he's a fan, of course. All right. Keeping an eye here on some of these positions. People are saying CXAI is making a move. I distrust this one quite aggressively. I mean, because every time it's tried to breach VWAP, we've seen what happened. So I'm going to need to see more, but thank you for pointing that out. Cool brioche. My mom makes a mean brioche. Anyway, I'm going to need to see a lot more from this, because I'm just highly suspicious of its price action on the day. If it takes out some area highs, we'll have a conversation. In fact, let's put in an alert there at around 31.06, give or take, to see if we can kind of get up into that area. Yes, Pep is still a coach, Adara. He is still the coach of Manchester City. Last year, likely. In any event, let's keep an eye here on some of these names, Joey. BIAF doesn't look like it's going to have much of a continuation, sadly, because it's coming back into that 250 area, and now we've got a bit of a red candle. Let's see if we breach prior bar low. I might tighten up my stop, Joey.
All right, man. Yeah, so there it goes. It looks like we're going to head a little bit lower here in Bitcoin. I have no issues with re-engaging one more time on this for a potential bounce, but right now it seems like we're trying to catch a falling knife, and that's not the best idea, just going with the flow. Same names are climbing higher. You're going to probably hit 119 here at some point on USO, and then the market is continuing to bleed, heading right towards a key support level on the daily that we were talking about not too long ago. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But yeah, it's going to crack, and then I wouldn't be surprised if come Monday they try to rebound it, but then we flush a little bit lower. So we'll continue to monitor. As for our watch list, we ran through that already. Let's see what we got going on the scanner. NVIDIA is going to be at the top of the class with the most amount of volume traded here with this specific scan, anything over $10 approximately. How has Palantir been performing? Just following the base. So yeah, let's get out of this IBIT trade, as it just made a clean flush down. I'm glad that we hopped out, as it just aggressively decided to tank. So good timing on that one. We said as soon as we crack the low of the day, let's get out, and I'm glad that we didn't have to sit through that. And then the momentum really starting to pick up. So doesn't look like buyers are going to engage anytime soon in Bitcoin, and buyers are fully engaged. So we may as well just go with the flow, maybe short this market in case we do get some more aggressive selling here.
All right, man. I don't really have anything other than what I just spoke about. Okay, so
hold on, give me a second here. So what we'll do is we'll head over to the chain and see what we got on the Nasdaq. I mean, the volatility is probably you're gonna probably see an uptick in that 34%. We've seen things significantly cooler. March 16th, that's gonna be I think that's Tuesday there that this is going to expire. So today's session being included, and then Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it may be. Nothing substantial, but what we really wanna focus on is this witching event on the 20th, which we've been talking about for quite some time. And then 600 is where you're going to see a lot of the size on the SPY, on the NASDAQ. We're trading at 595. So if you want to mask yourself, you can still collect. Oh, okay, I like this. And then what's this writing? Let's click up our strategy builder right here and see what we got going on. 600, you're gonna $600 right there, and then we'll go 605. So a couple hundred smackers on that one to say that we're gonna chill below. And I mean, max return, this is wrong. I don't know what's wrong with this thing here. It's just calculating absolutely absurd. I can pull up another thing, but essentially what it's saying is your max return is 680.89. That's not true. Okay, that's not going to be the case because this is a bear call spread. All right, so even on this, it's saying clear all legs, buy, sell. Where would it say on this? I haven't used this one. I typically use Client Portal. But anyways, aside from that, you're going to collect a couple $100 on this name, and there's a 70% chance that you're going to be able to collect a little premium at least. Dara, what do you have?
Yeah, just keep an eye on RDW here. Nothing massive in terms of moves, but Redwire just posted 1 minute ago on X that they participated in this U.S. Army Ivy Sting 5. So Army drone collaboration here just being posted about on social media by RDW. Furthermore, again, probably nothing massive, but while I'm here, a name that I know Joe is watching or has been watching, JP Morgan. JPM on watch as we continue to have these tensions in the Middle East. JP Morgan Partners Group canceling their UAE events as this war continues. Back to you.
So yeah, we like this. Over $200 you're going to be collecting on this specific contract combination. Once again, this profile is going to be more wrong. I don't know why it's calculating like that. We're going to have to figure something out. But you can see right here, it's bear call spread. We won't be collecting that whatsoever. It is pricing in. It's not what it's not doing. Oh, okay, I see what. Let's see if we can fix that. So it's not calculating your protection. All right, so. We put the vertical spread on there. Let's clear all the legs and take a second attempt on this one to see if we can get the actual right pricing point on this. And if it doesn't, then it's just like, so be it. This is completely incorrect. Yeah, so it's still doing the exact same thing. So I figure that's what it is. It's just not calculating the purchase of this $472 contract, all right? So that puts you around $220 to say that the SPY isn't going to close above $600 by next Friday. I think at this pace, we might be in for a nice little treat, and that could potentially happen. Even though it's 6 points away, I like our opportunity. I like our chances 70% with 43,300 contracts at that specific zone.
All right, man. Watching AIFF trying to make a move into 260 again. 260 has been the level that we can't really shake. I mean, we've been up to 264, but again, a thorough or a closer inspection of the chart, you can see on the 5 that we haven't closed anything above 260. My 1R on AIFF is 73, 2R is 90. So we're going to have to pack the patience here. We're going to wet the beak, obviously, at 60. There goes 61. Here comes 62. Very small shares. We're saving it for 1R here on a day. The reason I'm saying 1R yesterday, and I haven't really talked about 1R, is because on days where the continuation is lacking, like we saw on Monday and Tuesday, I can't expect to get 2R and 3R. So I'm going to have to adjust some of my risk and my approach so that on days where, you feel the follow through maybe a little wanting, we can take it out a little bit early. And I'm willing to stomach that. As long as I can get 1R, I think we're good to go. There it goes again into 66. So as I mentioned, for me, 1R is 73. Let's see what we got here on AIFF. We still have some, go ahead.
Something's going on in the market. I was looking at the chain. I'm like, what is going on here? This was fluctuating like a madman. USO. And I was going to ask you, Sharif, before I send it back to you, I'm like, how long until we get a volatility spike in USO? Sure enough, a couple minutes later, you get rocking and rolling. But look at this really start to amp up. This was fluctuating like a madman, and the chart was loading. It had to digest what was going on, and it's still currently doing that. Strong spike in the TQQs and an aggressive move lower in USO. Let's pull those names up as Bitcoin heading right back towards our entry price. I was thinking about taking another attempt on there, but that's neither here or there. Let's go to USO and see what we got going on as it's selling aggressively there, guys. A move to the downside, but we've seen this on multiple occasions. It just eventually gets bought right back up. Adara.
Not seeing the headline for the market yet. Okay, this just came in the headline for the market, but I do have a Boeing headline after as well. Headline for the market, Iran giving approval to the Indian government for 2 liquefied petroleum tankers to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. That's reported by sources. Now, it is worth noting, earlier we had reports that Italy was trying to engage with Iran to allow these tankers through, then Italy denied it. So be aware, this could always be denied by India. It's just a report. But again, as of right now, reporting we're seeing here is that Iran has given approval to the Indian government to allow 2 liquefied petroleum tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Keep an eye on USO here as well. USO actually tanking a little bit on this, of course. Now we have Boeing pushing higher. BA pushing higher. Again, we're seeing reports that the company is repairing 25 MAX jets due to those wire flaws which halted deliveries that we talked about a couple days ago. Again, though, the main story for this market is that Iran giving approval to the Indian government, allowing some liquefied petroleum tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Reuters reporting this story. Back to you.
Yeah, we reported on that in the morning as well. We spoke about that on the morning show that India had reached out directly to Iran. Again, whether you believe the reports or not, we'll wait until they're confirmed, but it had been speculated in the morning that there was direct communications between the country because the increase in the price of oil. India suffered India's been very sensitive, I want to say suffered, but has been super sensitive to the price of oil. And we've seen sort of, you know, the approach that they've taken to Russian oil and how that, you know, worked with the Trump administration as they were trying to, you know, get a trade deal going. So nothing new there that India would be doing something like that. Again, we'll wait for confirmation, but that, you know, we were reported on in the morning. Very interesting news. Let's continue to watch here. AIFF, I'm waiting for 69 to come in. There's 68. High day is 68. There's 69. Bang. Finally, we get a trade that actually works out. AIFF now, that's good. That's 1R. Looking for continuation now on this monster. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher on this. Next level for me, 90. Looking for the move into 90. Packing the patience. India's running low on LPG, not oil. Oil they get from Russia, deep tranquility. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What I'm thinking more is about energy. You know, very, very big country, very growing very quickly. Obviously, with growth requires energy. But thank you for correcting me on that. I do appreciate it. Continuing to watch here, SVCO, holding the 10 EMA on the 5, still putting in higher lows. Resistance at $4.60 on SCVO, excuse me. Looking for the move into 70. That is the high of the day. Other zinc, or sorry, not other zinc. Chad Anderson, Sharif, you may want to get out of AIFF. Why, brother? It hasn't breached prior bar low. It's above the 10 EMA. Maybe it does reject here. You're right. But I'm waiting to see if a key level can get held. Because if I don't allow the trade to follow through, then I can never really see like the brightest side of the trade. I'm always going to be capped by my fear. So I'm going to let this one go. If it breaches the level, it breaches a level. We've taken out a good amount here at 1R. We're looking for 2R next. So we'll see what comes of that. But thank you for alerting me to the resistance at 270 on AIFF. We're just showing 265. Our BIAF, this one I'm out of the money on, and I really haven't been in the money, quite frankly. Look, it broke trend. It came back down. The way I see it, it's trying to test the previous area of support, or sorry, resistance. And now it's kind of using it as support. I don't know. I've given it to 29. To this bar low over here, the 1130 bar low, also defended at the 1145 bar low. It's not exactly appetizing. It doesn't look like it's got the, you know, strength to make any higher highs. But look, if it makes a higher high above this 1145 candle, I'll be game. But if it loses 229, I'm out. It's really that simple. I'm keeping an eye as well on CSTE. I'm 0 for 1 on this. I tried to take the dollar breakout. And then I got stopped out. But you got to respect this higher low pattern here. This higher low pattern is telling you a story. And the story is here that the buyers are picking this up at higher and higher levels. All the while, we keep rejecting the volume weighted average price, at least on a closing basis. Sure, you wake up above it, right? No close, though, really above that VWAP area. So what I'm looking for is a decisive move and a closing print. The problem with this one, though, is you have VWAP, say, around 96.50, and then you got the dollar, right? So you got resistance at VWAP, you got likely resistance at the dollar. You've already seen the dollar act as resistance, not just over here, but over here as well. These two topping tails all reject the dollar. So I'm keeping an eye on it. If it changes its tune, as will I, of course. But that's what we're looking at, Joey. BIAF just took out prior bar high above in. BIAF takes out 245, then we can probably take out 250. So I'm keeping a close eye here on BIAF. It looks like, you know, it was resisting this trend line, clears it. Now it may use it as support. I'll feel a lot better if we can breach this doji candle high at 1135, the high of which is 245. So we're showing 241, 242. We'll see how this one does, Joe.
All right, we're in some NVDL here, guys. Let's see if we can find a bounce on this name off of those lows. I liked it. We were patient to see the market still selling, though, but ANUSO, but a small uptick there. We'll take that one. The high end of this range is going to be one of the primary targets. So 34s we're in at approximately. If we can get 68s, that's going to be absolutely fire. Some strength stepping right back into the tape. And if we get, this is where we're going to get stopped out. So only 30 cents of risk, nothing substantial whatsoever. A little reduce of shares because this is a 2x leverage play. And then sure enough, boom, we get that move. Let's go. Come on, you could do it. We'll hit the money, even though we're not exactly where we want to be just yet, but that's fine. Now, as for Bitcoin, not finding a bottom just yet, guys, continuing its bleeding, gave up all of the move from this morning, and then probably potentially going to head in towards this gap. So once we enter this gap, I think there might be a little bit of trouble, and then sure enough, $40 might be a target there on Bitcoin on the intraday session. May not be today, but over the weekend. So you get these pop-ups, and then they're immediately sold off. Not the best signs of strength, okay? There it goes. Nice little pop-up. We'll take that all day, man. Small little wins, small little battles everywhere. So, I mean, we like that on NVIDIA. Why am I going long? Nice indecision print off the lows. Consecutive selling here. I have double 5 minute. I don't know why that always does that. But increase in volume right here, that's a sign of strength, and then also the indecision print around the lows. So any form of a bounce, we run into the top end of the channel. If we start to reject aggressively, which we just did right there, then maybe we're going to have to reassess the situation. But right now, NVDA looks pretty strong. Moving forward, what has Apple been up to? Bleeding, not looking good whatsoever. AAPL down to 248, right at the lower end of the range. And we talk about names, regardless if you're at the top of the food chain or not.
Names.
You go on some monster runs. Unfortunately, you will see some form of a pullback. The market will make something up, and then people will start to take off some profit. Poor old Microsoft, I shouldn't say that whatsoever, but we talked about that run it was on for quite some time and continuing to sell off here. Guys, down pretty, I think it's like 30-something, or is it close to 30, 28%. I mean, that's not good here in Microsoft, considering it's still the third or fourth largest name in the market. So maybe a good buying opportunity. And it was in this consolidation for quite some time, like an ebb and flow, and then eventually had that breakout, but it wasn't sustained. You go on that run from May all the way to approximately July, the end of July, and then sure enough, you've been in a downtrend for significantly longer than what we were trending up for. So keep an eye out on MSFT. I still like the name. I think Azure's an absolute beast, and cloud will continue to grow. Maybe not at the rate that we're expecting, but at least there is growth there. So moving forward, we'll take a look at Amazon. How have you been performing? Not too good either. High of around $350. We're down 12% on that name. Same with Goggles. Monster run, but now we're on the backside of the trend here. And again, this name has everything going for it. If you're looking in the mega cap space, I think it's a neck and neck between NVDA and Google, who are the names that you really, really want to be involved with. But go on a big time run, and now you've cracked that trend. Watch out for some more potential downside here in Google.
All right, I'm starting to feel less good about SCVO. It's not doing too poorly. It's still showing me the $0.50. I've got 55s on, but it does look like it's on a downtrend now. Whether or not it finds support at the 20, where 20 EMA on the 5, where it has found support before, we're gonna wait and see. I'm talking about, of course, the 11 o'clock candle on the 5 that defended the 20. I'm talking also about the 1025 candle that found support at the 20 on SCVO. I'm packing the patience. We're gonna see what we get on this one. I don't wanna paper hand this trade. BIAF, I think it just breached that 45 penny high. So let's see what we have here on BIAF. All right, let me just pull up my look on this one. There we go. So we're in, for this one, let me just find it. Oh, all right. Yes, okay, so looking for the move here into the $0.50. It really hasn't decisively cleared. Oh, wow, look at that. It goes into 246, it drops back down into 238. Let's see if it breaches prior bar low. I'm still fine with this one holding trend because it's starting to use that former area of resistance as support, but it doesn't have the continuation into the $0.50 quite yet. So it looked like it was changing its tune, and there it wasn't. Yeah, there is 45 on BAF, but don't seem like it want to break that good. You agree 100% with that, Bovin. I totally agree with that. So we're going to have to wait and see what it does because it's out of my control. AIFF got stopped out, got right back in because it held the $0.50, looking for continuation now into 60s and 70s. We took profits on the stop out as well, so no part of that went against me. But I did move up my stop on that, which is why I got stopped out. That's my problem, not yours. I'm still looking for that $0.50 hold and another attempt at 70, possibly even 3. Let's give this one the old college try. If it loses 50 pennies and prior bar low, I'm out. And we're taking basically half the amount of risk that we took last time, so we don't give back too much if we get stopped out, which is a distinct possibility given that there's like very little in the way of continuation today. Yeah, that's it. That's what we're looking at now. Let's have a look here at the other one, CSTE. Oh my days, that's ugly. Oh my days. We're looking at this one to breach VWAP. Oh my God, yeah. As I see, ever since Fabian fixed our headphones, that is very, very loud in our ear. But I like it, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. But I haven't heard it like that loud before. In any event, Joey, things are breaking down right now, man. There's very little in continuity, so I'm going to start taking very little risk with my trades going forward because
that's a good idea,
the continuity is a very weak, as a Katina man would say. I don't even know if to say that.
Unless you're thinking short there.
Yeah, but these are not even shorts, even though. Like that's the thing. Yeah, they're not really looking man. Short. Yeah, it's super choppy. That's fine, man. Like you just got. What I'd love to be able to do is to be able to gauge the sentiment. And Luis gave us that data point that I still got to start using. So I do plan on using his portal on the weekend. Going to practice, kind of look at that.
Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Because he gave us that really good way to look at exactly how many movers on that graph and what the data says. So that will help you gauge sentiment, at least in my humble submission. So we'll see. What do you got?
Q's better hold 593, which is the last week's low. If that doesn't, we have very much room. Yeah, that's what I was saying not too long ago there, my guy. Top VoIP. Yeah, so there we go. A nice little pop. Let's see if we can break this trend line, get a 1-minute candle on the backside of it, and then maybe get a rebound into 79.80s. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, and we don't want to tell them our targets either. But no, obviously being sarcastic. But no, in all seriousness, guys, not too bad. We held on to it. If it breaks the low of the day, we got to take that into consideration and make sure that we remain steady with our risk, because every pop just gets bought right back up. I mean, sold right off, right? And we're going completely against the grain on this one. Goodness. There was some indecision prints, but it's not looking too pretty. And this thing, it's so, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Buy the high here, and then you get this volatility spike. It's going to stop you out. So you'd have to go so small because you don't know what's going to happen, essentially, with this name. I think probably by, I would say 1245 to 130, we probably get another volatility spike in USO. It's Friday, so people are looking to have a little fun probably with the market and everything along those lines. It's so headline sensitive right now. Anything of any form of substance is going to move this thing, so we have to keep an eye out. Glad that we didn't take any more attempts on Bitcoin as it's hovering around that 4078 level. I'm sitting on a little bit of cash in my account, and the more these larger names continue to sell, I'm waiting for Jensen and company to break through a support level, and then we're going to buy a little bit more. Am I going to be buying more Bitcoin? Maybe I'll buy a little bit more. I did cut my position in half. I think it was like around 110 or something along those lines, nothing crazy. But we gave back so much unrealized, it really pains me. So kind of a little gun shy on that one, but NVDA, not too bad of a look. 170, 172, I think it's a good time for me to purchase a little bit more. Adair, what do you have?
What I have is happening now, and what's happening now is this market trying to potentially bounce off of lows here. Now we're actually kind of just above or pre-market lows. We did briefly breach them. We'll take a look at the Nasdaq, or sorry, the SPY, because that was the Nasdaq. So in the SPY, we're not even near these pre-market lows. Story for the day kind of continues to be a lot of the same. We have some tech headlines to balance, including Meta saying, or reportedly trying to delay the launch of their avocado AI until May. Right now, they're going to go with the Google AI option. So that was one headline we had specifically in the Meg 7 space. But oil is going to continue to be on watch. Now, it's interesting, USO recovering a lot faster from these drops than it may be used to, as Joe and Sharif were saying. But we get this spike lower on USO as we start getting reports from Reuters suggesting that the Indian government has apparently struck a deal with Iran to allow 2 liquefied gas, I guess, exporting vehicles here to pass safely through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it is worth noting, we heard reports earlier that Italy was trying to strike a deal with Iran, and then they denied that they were trying to do so. So just be aware, we can't always get confirmation or denial here from the government of India, but either way, that's definitely going to be a story on watch here. One story as well on watch here intraday, obviously not as big of a mover, but we did get a push up here in SHC. This is Sotera Health. Now, this company was on the move after we had some reports from the New York Times suggesting that the EPA is going to be maybe rolling back some of these rules with regards to cancer-causing gases. SHC, Sotera Health, and their facilities are known for having some controversies involving possibly carcinogenic gases from their buildings, so that's why that moved. Let's talk here about some of these earnings as well. ULTA, maybe not the most heavily day traded name, but nice move today off of earnings for Ulta Beauty. As you can see, re-acceleration in their revenue growth for fiscal 2025. Adobe also reported earnings after the bell yesterday, as did SentinelOne, Service, Titan, and Rubrik. Already, of course, one Ulta Beauty infographic on X at TTV Research. There'll be another one coming out later this afternoon, and an Adobe visual as well. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to join us every day. And right now, we're going to see you back over to Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Adara. Man, oh man, I should have took some off there at 60s. We're long from like 39 or something along those lines, 35, 36. And then we could have took some off at 60s because now we're starting to come back in. So when the market gives you an opportunity to do so, you have to take advantage of it because you're getting these strong up moves, but then look at this, just immediately sold right back off. So sellers are, I think, well, I mean, we're below the volume weighted average price, so you can say that they're in complete control. Poor Bitcoin, man, just an absolute, what did I say, free fall after the trend line break earlier this morning. So Neil would have liked this one, uptrend, trend line break, boom, AC Slater to the downside on that bad boy. And sure enough, let's see if I don't even want to post up there because then there'd be zero chance that we're going to catch that fill. But I mean, if we wait and we climb up, I'll take about half of my position off. And then probably once I do that, it'll rip. So that's kind of the situation that I'm sitting in right now with NVDA. Going with the flow. I seen Obi running a game earlier today. Man, oh man, IBIT, poor thing. All right, guys, is there anything specific that you want to hear? Put the dollar signs in, get those votes. Let's go over a couple of the names that you guys want to look at. Enough of what I've been rambling on. I want to know what you guys have been trading. I see SIL. Is that a small cap name? It sounds like it because I'm not overly familiar with it. So SIL, put those in the chat. Also, if you feel free, what are you guys up to on the weekend? That's going to be Global X Silver Miners to the downside. So I'm assuming that SLV is probably to the downside as well too, guys. Not too good of a look, but it did pop up to 119. All right, 119, not a horrible play whatsoever on this name, SIL. Let's see a couple more here and see what the folks you guys got going on the weekend. And silver, Joey. All right, we'll go over some more silver. Some more silver and gold. Man, there's this meme, like a clip of a video kind of circulating on Snapchat Reels, and it's of Tiny Tim. I think it's Mickey Mouse's kid. And that stuff just, I can't stomach that stuff anymore, man. Milo made me soft. But anyways, silver heading right back down. You get to a high of around $85 now, down to $72. I mean, at this pace, you got to keep an eye out on this neckline being broken, and then you want to look for where that next potential landing spot could be, and that could be here for sure, right? I mean, $65. Big time run. This was a whole bunch of fun. And then if you ask me, not very much success on my end right there. NVIDIA long still in play. I mean, I don't know how much longer we are starting to curl over. I'll take that until we break 79.66 and we continuously reject it. But I'm going to take a little off at 60s if we're for. There we go. 61s. Finally, thank you. Before we sell off at that zone, let's piece a little bit out there, guys. The VIX. Let's take a look at the VIX, too. Could you please look at Hood? Some CSPs, 424, expiration around the 66 strike. All right, first things first. Let me write this down, and then we'll go through that, and then we'll send it off to Sharif. Yes, so we got a couple of things that we're going to do over here, my guy. So hold your horses, as my great-grandmother used to say.
What is this thing doing?
So 424 on Robinhood. All right, and then we're going to take a look at the VIX. We'll go one more here. No, we'll just do those two. All right, 424 over here on Robinhood and see what we got going on. Let's turn this off so we can get a little bit better of a gauge, and then we're going to pull up the charting and the technicals on this bad boy. Tina Man told you guys this morning. We're unfortunately down 50%. I mean, a high of 150. You're liking the 66 that are going to expire on the 24th of April. My dad's birthday is the 4th. Yeah, there we go, bang. I'm not very good with birthdays, by the way. CSP is on that one. What is our delta saying? Yeah, I mean, so there is an 80% chance or 77% chance we can say that this is going to expire out of the money. CSP, you're collecting 385. If not, congratulations, you're a proud owner. If you're going to allow those to expire, ITM, you're a proud owner of Robinhood at $66. Now let's pull up the technicals before we head over to the VIX and see how we've been doing there. Market heading lower, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see somewhat of an uptick on the fear index. All right, daily. Breaking through some support. That's not too good of a look here right now. A lot of chop going on. But what we do have in our favor is that we're starting to hold that. Where would $66 put us? By next month around this time, a month and a week or so. Yeah, I mean, not a bad play. Not a bad play there, Brown Lightning. And then let's go over to the VIX before we send it back over to Sharif and see what we have there. Oops, wrong one. Let's switch this up. Head over to the VIX. We'll take a look at the daily and see what the increase in premium is like on this bad boy index. CBOE. I was lucky enough when I went to the CBOE. So there it is, 158%. So you're going to see an increase there. I like waiting for the puts, 125,000 at $28. Take a look at the actual charting aspect of this. It has been on the rise recently. Oh no, wrong button. I hate how it does that. Let's go over to there. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Go. There we go. Mazalito. All right, Mazal. All right, yeah, nice steady up and to the right there, guys. Earlier this week, we climbed to a high of $35, 4-hour chart. We come back in, so those puts coming into play. But what we will look at is this right here, and that's going to be that nice steady uptrend that we're experiencing right now in the VIX, Sharif.
All right, man. Good look, Joey. Just throwing in a stop. Give me one moment. I will be with you in 1 second. Okay, there we go. We're good to go. All right. So lots of stuff is happening here. BIAF clearly has trouble clearing every level that you put in front of it. I mean, no, seriously though. Let's do a little TA. Let me just draw this parallel bar, and then we'll kind of make the argument here. So number one, it's having trouble clearing the half dollar, which is not surprising. That's a key area of technical resistance. We're going to keep an eye out on that. Got to that 50 penny area, dropped all the way back down, still holding that upper channel. I'm going to continue to hold this so long as this upper channel holds here on BIAF, okay? I have more to say about AIFF because that one, it looks like it's going to break out again. Thankfully, back into that. Still disappointed with the SCVO, but Bovin, the OG Bovin strikes again. He strikes a lot, I got to tell you. Bovin, you know, if he was a prize fighter, some people would be down. PLYX Bovin, great call. Flat top break through 6. The shorts are running scared now. There it goes into 630, Bovin. Very big breakout right now on PLYX. PLYX, yeah. Up 35%. High day 629, showing 630. Nice flat top break. Once, twice, Obi, he is the one thrice. 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 8th time, it breaks. The breakout is on. We can go to the wider time frame to kind of see where to expect the resistance. Okay, so we have a high from the 11th at 650, resistance level number 1. We have another high from the 10th, the high of which is 739, resistance level 2. We draw these out. We put some horizontal trend lines on that to earmark, or to mark, I should say, some of these levels. So that's what we're looking for there, but a big breakout there, and looking for continuation on that. I don't have anything on it right now, quite frankly, but I'm going to keep my eye out on it. I did add into BIAF at the low, not something I typically do. I'm holding it for this channel. So if it holds the channel, I'm going to continue to hold it. If it loses the channel, I'm out. It's really that simple. AIFF, though, like if it was up to me, I wouldn't be trading right now. Okay, I can tell you why clearly, because there's no continuity on these names. I would immediately recognize that, and I would immediately not trade. right? You're getting to some very, very good levels, and you're not seeing, any continuity from the longs. You're just seeing a lot of, profit taking and/or short selling at these levels. And completely distinct from yesterday and the day before, but very similar to Monday and Tuesday. So that's the way it is. I'm on the show, obviously I have to trade, but we're gonna keep an eye on the ones that are doing good, and we'll try to give you guys some. What's up?
NVIDIA is tanking. I'm glad that we got out of that, man. I was ready. I was excited. Like, hey, we took some off there, but then an aggressive move to the downside as the market is putting in a new low of the day. USO not doing anything, but that was tank city. We sit in this for how long? I mean, we go head over to the 5-minute time frame, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, all engulfed in the span of 60 seconds. All right, so 25 minutes gone. I'm glad that we pieced them out there at 70, nice, and then sure enough, boom. I got stopped out at 33%, which is totally fine. All right, 33%, we'll take that, but an aggressive down move. Now starting to climb a little bit higher in NVDA. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay, brother.
Cool. All right, cool. So yeah, that's what I got going on, man. That was an all-day grind. Well, not all day, I should say, but that wasn't fun sitting through that. I'm glad that we got some out. But this is what drives me through the wall at times. Is that why you flush and then it just rebounds right back to where it is. You have to get out, right? Like if it continues to bleed, but sure enough they play all these bamboozlement, tomfoolery, and then they comes right back to north of your entry price. All right. Is there a potential long? Do we take one more attempt here on IBIT? I mean, yeah, Mazalito. I've been watching too much New York City gold dealers and diamond guys. That guy Moses, I like Moses. He's a cool guy. So Mazal to that. Let's get involved in a little bit of Bitcoin here, guys. We can use a 10-cent stop on that front. So I like this BTC long. If it breaks 60s, we're at a dodge. We're in at 70s. Perfect. Exactly where we want to be. Could be a horrible play as we're already 4 cents out of the money. So we hit 50% of our stop just like that. Yeah, Raza Mazalito. Let's go Bitcoin.
Hey. Get it, Joey.
Let's pull up IBIT and see if we can get a little bit of a pop on this one here, guys.
All right, Nick, check out COP, just sent a super chat. Thank you very much, Nick, for the super chat. Always kind of you as well. Just made a bunch on a similar setup on VKTX last couple of days. Let's look at COP, see what Nick is talking about. Looks super consolidative though, Nick. What is this name? ConocoPhillips. Okay, my bad. I should have known that.
Oh, man.
Super expensive, nothing I trade, Nick. Kind of my moat here, which is small cap gappers, but I do like this range, especially looking at yesterday's range as well. Very well established, 120 to the low. Essentially, most of the time, 120 on the dot to the low, about 120.75 to the high with some outliers into 121. A bit of a wider range today, to be fair, about 119. No, I want to say it's similar, Nick. That hasn't quite made it down to 120 as many times, just that one candle at 11, with not too many candles breaching 120. One, only just those two up here, but a super tight range for me, not really exactly my style to trade the range, nor are these the type of stocks that I trade, but thank you very much. ConocoPhillips, what does this one look like on the daily? Oh, yeah, well, recovering quite nicely. Look at that downtrend break, man. That's nice right there. From when would that break the downtrend? Like, yeah, mid-December. This thing's been on a roll since that time. Very much bucking the trend here. Things are putting in highs when everything else is putting in low. You said VKTX as well, Viking Therapeutics, a name that I keep my eye on a lot. Always a buyout candidate here. Yeah, very much a range trade on as well on that one, Nick. Looks like, generally, I'm not talking intraday, but generally that 37.5, $40 area resistance, and then $30 support with some outlying areas, of course. We'll keep tabs on those. Thanks very much, Nick, for that. All right, what do we got here? SCVO continues to drop down into 40. We have 55s on that, so we are now 10 pennies out of the money. Is showing me 45s on the bid. Not a good look. AIFF, this one continues to hold trend, but it's having trouble clearing 60. There's only been those two candles that got into 70. However, it's still putting in generally higher lows, a bit of an upward trend. We're packed to patience on there. BIAF, it doesn't look like it's going to hold trend, but if it doesn't, I already have my stop below the low of the candle at 12.05, the low of which is 231. I've given it a little bit below that, but it looks like now it's struggling with 240. Can't breach 240, and prior bar high is 39. So it's clearly having trouble with that as well. PLYX, though, seems to be the one that, you know, kind of completely bucking the trend here in terms of, in terms of trend, yeah. PLYX on the NQ. I thought this was going to be a wider spread given how aggressively it was breaking out. Maybe the volume's picked up now. 2 to 3 penny spread here, generally having watched this only for a few seconds. I would be picking this up at 6. Okay, and you're going to have to give it to 580 though. Look at that range between 6 and 580. You know that there was a buyer here at 580, so you're going to have to risk a little bit. So we're going to do just that. We're going to put in a trade over here. We're looking to go long. Let's just say 605, so we give ourselves room, and then 579. All right, perfect. So let's see if we can kind of get that. We'll go 605 long, and we'll see what we can get on this one. Maybe this one will treat us a little bit better. That is it, but I see CXAI is making a move as well, guys. It hasn't really quite moved up into my alert area. I put an alert on this one at around, I want to say 31 pennies, so that it breaches these highs from earlier on, but it's about 30 and a quarter now, coming to 30 and a half. So CXAI holding up at above VWAP for longer than I think it's done all day, regular trading hours, that is. Of course, it was above it in the pre-market at around 6. But look how, you know, transient the move above VWAP here was during the implied balance open. This now is, you know, at least 15 minutes here if we hold, and we had these 2 candles as well, which showed us its intention to possibly take out that level. So CXAI could be interesting for you. Keep an eye out on that. I think I'm going to stop out here of SVCO just because I don't want to, you know, expend the mental energy on a name that is clearly not holding trend. What keeps me back is from stopping out manually is that there's a buyer here that keeps stepping in at 440. And, you know, they're not really posting anything on the level 2 because, look, you see single digits on all these gateways, but the fact of the matter is it's been holding up. Now, that's one side. The other side is it's unbroken lower highs. So it looks like I got that one wrong, which is fine. Let it stop out naturally, Joey, so that I don't lament having gotten out, especially if it takes out some highs. But CXAI is about to trigger here. Oh, well, I stopped out naturally there. 437, we're out. The bleeding is done on SVCO. Let's focus on something else. CXAI, we'll switch this one, and we'll have a look at what this one has to offer. In terms of a long, it's coming in quite close to my 31 penny area. I just want to let you know the implied balance high was 30.82. 30.95, we're above it now. I'm going to delete my alert so it doesn't ring in my ear, but CXAI is breaking out, guys, and here comes 31 pennies. Be on the lookout there, Joe.
All right, guys, let's head over to our scanner. We got stopped out of Bitcoin there. Trying to grab that bottom, just not working. This thing is really, really tanking, giving up the majority of that move. So, yeah, I mean, VIX up to 157% implied volatility. We'll keep an eye out on that. We'll head over to our scanner to see anything. It's Friday, so yeah, I'm not really worried about putting on too much more here on the day. Yeah, it's been a horrid week, full disclosure. So yeah, we'll look for other things there. AAL, what have you been up to? Mega cap names, just yeah, frustrating. Tesla, what the hell is this? LQD. All right, IBX inverse or something like that. IWM, how have you been performing? Not very well, that's for sure. Not too good of a look there on IWM either. What's it look like on the daily? I mean, small caps, considering not too many rate cuts coming in, priced in this year. Maybe 2, you get 10% off. So I mean, that's a little bit better than what the Qs are down, I believe. So 10% on that one. No, you don't want to work. Like, why is it probably the most common ticker on the planet, giving us a little bit of trouble here, Sharif, getting in on the platform.
Tell me about it.
Let's try it one more time for the folks back home. What do we got? 10% on the IWM. What the hell?
What happened?
That's crazy, man. When it rains, it pours, Sharif.
Oh, it does.
When it rains, it pours, my friend.
There's just no continuity on anything. All of them break down. And it's not like you can point to one and say, this one's weak, you chose the wrong one. They're all doing that. So that's a characteristic clearly you have to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, for sure, man. SoFi have been getting banged up as well. So just go with the flow, sell the market. A small downtick in USO, which leads to an uptick in the overall market. Maybe it's starting to form a little bit of a base. NVDA rebounding right back to where we were on our previous move there. We get stopped out. I'm glad I was like, I flipped there. I didn't even really want to get involved in this, so I just got out of that trade once again, but it held that base. A little bit of a liquidity grab south of 79.20, and then it bounces right back up. So not too horrible. If any name is going to rebound, and I say this time and time again, it's probably going to be this name right here at the top of the list. It's in a tough space, man. We've been consolidating for quite some time. I mean, July is when we really started. You have that move up into 212, but then you just head right back into the middle of the range. So really been dead money unless you've been really good at playing this ebb and flow in this name, but I don't think most people typically are there, Sharif.
All right, let's look at PLZO for, I forget the name of the individual, the OG, Jason Newcomb. What's going on, Jason? PLZO, let's take a look. I did take a quick look at that. PRZO, excuse me, PRZO. Right away, you can see topping tail candle on the day, which means that we are well off the high. Let's look at the 5. Yeah, as I suspected. Brother, I don't like this one just because my bias is if you're going to take one of these long, it should be above this white line here. That's the volume weighted average price. If it's not, then to me, it says that sellers are in control, not the buyers. So that puts it in not a good look for me. Daily as well, very, very consolidative and mostly downtrend, unbroken lower highs. You can kind of see that. Maybe some areas of support here at the dollar. It's been below the dollar multiple times, seems to recover quite quickly, but that would be my look there, brother. I wouldn't be looking to go long on this one at the moment. BIAF is breaking trend. If it breaches at 29, I'm out, but I'm looking at getting in here now on PLYX. Let's see if this one can take out prior area high. That's 40. New candle just opened with a higher low and a higher high, but not exactly rocketing up. I defend this into 6. We're going to give this one a little bit of room. It seems like it is the one that has the intentions on going with a flat top breakthrough 6. 10 EMA on the 5 is showing 607 with the high, as I mentioned, at 40. So we'll see what this one has to offer. It didn't quite get stopped out of BIAF yet, as this is recovering back into 37s or so. Let's see if this one can make it yet another attempt at the $0.50 or whether it's going to get rejected or not. AIFF, that one is headed back to VWAP. It looks like the sellers at 70 ended up winning, and then they dropped down into 60 as well. So tougher look on AIFF. That one looked like it maybe had some juice. 240 is VWAP on AIFF, guys, if you're interested in picking up a VWAP trade. I personally won't at this moment, unless it sets up a little bit differently. But yeah, that's a look there. What else are you guys looking at? Bovin says ELPW needs to break 550. Let's look at ELPW for the OG Bovin. ELPW. What are you listening to?
Me, I'm not listening to anything.
Oh, I thought you were shaking your head.
No, I'm shaking. I am shaking my head. That's for sure.
This is not bad, Bovin. This is not bad at all. I worry about all the highs that we haven't cleared. After market high yesterday, pre-market high at 7, another implied balance open. So we're below all those levels. Ideally, let's at least get above the implied balance open, which is about 540. But you said 550, and I completely agree with you. So let's put the alert there for 550 and see what this one has to offer. That is ELPW. That one earned its way onto the side chart. We're going to put in ELPW. Shake it off, my man. Go to the bathroom. Shake it off, bro. ELPW. I already had that one on there, man. I guess I took it off the side chart. Oh. Yeah. We're, did you notice that? Did you notice this? I love this platform. It resized the charts for me so that the bottom charts are smaller than the big charts.
It does that all the time.
It woke up one day in a bad mood and it's like, look, I'm gonna resize the charts. And so I'm going to have to resize these. I just noticed. But yeah, Bovin, absolutely. ELPW headed up there. I put an alert for 550. If it ends up breaching 550, I'm game. But for the moment, I'm going to have to steer clear. I really want to do focus, though, on PLYX to see if I can defend that into 6. And BIAF, I'm giving that one to the same area that I was doing, which is 529, Joey.
Right. This has to be our last attempt. I mean, looking at the 10-minute, I thought we would find somewhat of a bottom there. So I'm providing all the liquidity right there. Then it just bounced right back up into my entry price. So yeah, I mean, I'm not done or anything along those lines. Just going to preserve mental capital here for now and not try to get overly frustrated. All right, we can't allow something that doesn't care about you to get to. All right, so what do you guys want to look at? Put some names in the chat. We'll go over those names.
And can I say one thing too?
Yeah.
Like not last, what was it, last Friday? Yeah, it was last Friday. When we start sizing up, right? I remember I talked about this. You know, at least for me, I'm just only speaking for myself.
Yeah.
When I changed my risk, it comes with different emotions. But it's such a stupid thing to have. It's so illogical to have it like that because number one, you can't change anything. The trade is going to be the trade.
Yeah.
And what the hell do I care, right? If it's, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like the point is, I'm really trying. I'm not very eloquent here, but the point for me anyway, if I'm gonna get emotional about it, it's gonna cloud my judgment, and it's not gonna change the result, right?
Absolutely not.
So the size is is gonna have to be what it is, and I'm not really worried about it. Right?
Yeah.
So
the size is gonna be what it is for sure. I mean the
eloquence,
screen doesn't really
and I do
know.
apologize for that.
The chart or whatever they got going on behind the screens here has no idea how much size essentially you're putting on. Yeah, there's Walmart, a nice rebound off of the 21, not too bad of a look there. I'm just looking for some other potential names. Maybe we hop in and back into NVDA. It was the one that's been working for us here today. It does look like it's starting to form somewhat of a base, so maybe we get a small curl over, but I am obviously keeping my eyes on USO. Bitcoin was our better trade here earlier this morning, but no buyers engaging whatsoever. It's just been selling since that trendline break. Adara.
Wow. DNA stock on watch. A company called Ginkgo Bioworks. They have rallied in the past. They posted on their X account about 3 minutes ago that a new article in a journal or publication called Scientific American was about research done with DNA, this company here, and OpenAI. Apparently, the research between OpenAI and Ginkgo Bioworks showed that an AI model working with an autonomous lab can design and iterate real biology experiments at unprecedented speed. So long story short, Ginkgo Bioworks showing off its research it did with OpenAI. The stock is popping a bit here, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. Half past the hour, BIAF breaking down. I feel you, Alan. I feel you, brother. The range, I smelt this one away, but you got to let it resolve, right? But yeah, BIAF breaking trend. That upward channel has now broken. It is on the way down. It's still holding that 220 level. There were buyers there, but it's not exactly an appetizing entry. 210 VWAP. We're below the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA right now. The only thing really holding us up is that candle at 1110, the low of which was 219. This candle here, the one that we just closed at 225, did drop into 222, so not quite as low as 219. Not exactly an entry for me, though, either. Here comes PLYX into 6, so I need to be alive to that one as well. Let's see if it holds around that $6 area. And we're going to set up on this one. Let's watch here to see what we get on PLYX. That's a 10 EMA as well. So this $6 area is the 10 EMA. It's also the breakout area that we were at prior. So let's see if this one holds. Now, the candles all did reject 6. The 10 EMA just a skosh above 6. But as Bovin said, ELPW is making a move as well. So that one needs to be on your radar if you're looking for a breakout trade. I do suspect this one, though, Bovin, just because there are just so many pre-market highs and after-market highs that we have to deal with here. But here it comes into 550, 547 right now for ELPW. Trade this carefully. I just have to throw in some stops here, Joey, for PLYX.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there it goes, hitting our target. It's best we probably just switch it up there. Liquidity grab. Such a move, man. I don't understand that. Like, why is it? Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't just try to comprehend what is essentially going on there or rationalize. So we'll head over to something that's been working for us. That has been NVDA, displaying some nice prints around the lows. A bunch of buying pressure really starting to step in here. There it is, a base being formed at 180. I don't know if it's time to buy the top end of the range, considering you have to give it to around the lows, which is approximately 60 cents. So, and it's the same narrative here on NVDL. Same thing, you got to give it 60 cents or so, and I would prefer to get in the middle end of the range or the lows around 79.20, and we'll take another attempt for maybe somewhat of a rebound. Or this could just be a consolidation, and then it curls right back over. So, yeah, not too, just trying to build up a little bit of a trade idea here on something. And we'll post up. We can wait at 79.20s on that one, considering it's definitely a boom, boom, boom. We sit in that, and then a nice move a little bit higher. Moving forward, let's pull up some USO. It still seems strong, right? Like we've been talking about this continuously, hovering around the highs. The pullback here in the Nasdaq does seem relatively weak, but maybe it shook out enough individuals, and you can see a pullback into VWAP. And I think that'd be a primary target here on NVDA.
I agree.
And
they all look like they're doing that.
They all look like it at some point. Just depends if you have. I think this is more or less a cover rally more than buyers being engaged. So then essentially what can happen potentially is that sellers step right back in if they're looking to dump some more inventory around the volume weighted average price or something along those lines.
Tesla could be a rejection at VWAP too, around 396. I'm just looking at that as well.
Tesla?
Yeah, because VWAP's at 396. It's rejected VWAP multiple times on the day. Not like I'm gonna take that, but I know that that's some of the stuff that you trade there. How's that look?
TSLO?
No, yeah, TSLA.
Yeah,
I was
TSLA.
looking. Yeah.
You're right at VWAP there, so not too bad of a look whatsoever. But I'm like an NVDA for somewhat of a rebound, buying pressure. So this could be a base. You just have that definitive out. If it breaks that zone, then you can just get out of there and then maybe look for something else there, Sharif.
Look for something else, guys. All right, tag me with some new names. If I haven't mentioned any of them, it looks like, my scanner up top there, a little light above it, and it looks like ELPW. Yeah, much like most of all the small caps today, no continuation into the $0.50, rejects the $0.50. Short's been absolutely in control today. There's no question about that. There's been a top on all these. There's been very little in the way of continuation. You kind of see that here with this inverse hammer candle topping tail coming into 550, now dropping down into the $0.25. So a tough one there, but let's look at what you guys are talking about. Pathix says Neo's making a move. Let's take a quick look at NIO. I did look at that one earlier. It didn't really interest me all that much, but maybe it's changed. Look at NIO.
Yes, sir. Andre get the salmon.
Good headline today for some of these ADRs, especially some of these Chinese ADRs. Very consolidated, brother. I mean, the range here seems to be, looks like a buyout trade here, 577 as a low, with most of the prints 583 or 584. That's not really my style, but I do see your point there. You can trade that as a range with size until it doesn't work. Cool Brioche, FMFC. Let's take a look. Oh, boy. MFC. Comes PLYX, it's going to lose 6. No buyers. They're on vacation. Yeah, this one's broken down quite aggressively, brother, into 69 pennies, and then starts making that lower high setup, lower lows. It's really dropped below everything that I would consider support. You have VWAP at around 61. 10 EMA on the 5 is 58, 20 is 56. It's lost some of the shelves here that you had at 60. There was about maybe 20 minutes or so of defending at 60 pennies, but it's lost that as well. It goes right on the day if it drops below 47.25 pennies. I'm talking about FMFC. For anybody following along, I do apologize. Throw on the ticker. Yeah, that topping tail candle followed by a red candle, make a new low, probably was a little bit of a red warning there. But FMFC, bit of a tougher look. Danny boys, good afternoon, Tilapia fans. I love this. Dropping 5 in the chat. So I've been noticing turbo trends to move up and down with news on oil, but turbo makes bigger moves. Go Bears. Are you talking about TURB? Let's have a look at TURB. Turbo Energy. Okay, so this one's down on the day, 1.95, much like oil as well. I believe oil's flat now. It's only down 0.13. This is oil right here. That's the USO. Let's go back to TURB. Let's see if there's overlap between these two charts. Similar, not exactly the same, and obviously this one's a little illiquid. Support here between 385 and 4, at least on the day. But when you look at the wider time frame on Turbine, TURB, it's a lower high setup, and that's a multi-day look. That takes us back to the 11th, which was, wow, PLYX lost 6, so I'm out of that as well. It lost, so TURB, it had that big move in the aftermarket, I think at 640 on Wednesday. Pretty consolidative day yesterday with a bunch of lower highs. So yeah, not exactly the most appetizing trade either. I would say look short for a rejection off the lower trend line. At least that's how I would trade it, and really hasn't been able to breach that trend line at all, quite frankly. So look out for that. I see that ELPW is trying to make another move above in here into the area high. So prior bar low on ELPW is 23. Current bar low higher at around 26. So it's holding prior bar low. Let's see if it can get above prior bar high. That's 550. I'm not interested in that one either. PLYX, that's a prickly one right there. Drops all the way into VWAP, loses 6, but the buyer is stepping pretty aggressively here. Or shorts are covering, which is why this is bouncing into 6. In either case, it stops me out. I'm no longer in the trade. No positions at the moment. I don't anticipate taking any either, quite frankly, going forward, because nothing is setting up in my way. And it's a red day for me today, so I don't anticipate being green because I probably won't take any more trades. So it'll be a 2 for 3 week. We went 4 for 5 last week, so it'll be a tougher week for me. We'll end up being negative on the week, but we'll come back as strong next week. Hopefully we'll have some continuation on these plays. I just hope to be able to spot at an earlier time in the day when, you know, the continuations are lacking. I should have probably picked that up.
I'm going to blame it on
of trades.
I'm going to blame it on the even though you got to take full accountability.
Why?
I'm going to put it on the. I'm talking for myself here. It was an absolutely wretched of a week. I'm going to blame it on the time change.
Okay, I can
right.
go with
You know what I mean? So we're not going to point the finger
that.
at anybody other than the time.
No, I'm going to blame myself.
Dude, I'm like literally, I'm down. If you want to start the news, I'm completely.
No, it's way too early. 2:40, brother. We got to wait because it's going to take us like probably 20 minutes. Or sorry, an hour to go through it, so we'll be done a little bit early. I can look at some other stuff, though, so if you guys want me to look at any longer-term stuff that you guys want to look at, I'm game. Other than that, though, I'm going to steer clear of trading today. ELPW VWAP balances above in. Oh no, it's coming in pretty aggressively. So did lose prior bar low above in. I would say you should probably stay away from the longs right now, unless you're picking it up off like an amazing area of support. I mean, like in ELPW's case, clearly a buyer here between 460 to 470. That's shown up multiple times. But I would say steer clear of the long unless there's something distinctly different, as Obi likes to say. Bless you, Fabian. Rook Namalu wants me to look at the hooded one. Let's take a look at Hood. What's it been up to? Let's find out. Hood's bleeding its own blood as well, like everything else. Down 3 1/5. Tough look today for Robinhood. Short off the 20 EMA. The deep retracements all come into the 20. It looks like it is bottoming out a little bit, though. Maybe at 73 1/4. I wouldn't be looking to go long. I'd be looking short into 74. If it does come into that, it closed out about 76, a little higher than 76 yesterday, 76.11, something like that. But that's my look. I mean, I don't trade Robinhood if you're asking me on a daily. Let's look at the daily. Oh, geez, this looking very bear flaggish. I don't like this. So bear flag, I would say, probably commenced at around that $100 loss. And the reason I say that, look at that area hold here in late November at the $100. You consolidate above the 100, you drop quite aggressively, right? If we were to flip this picture and flip it to the upside, this would look like a bull flag continuation, right? But right here, it looks like it's holding 70 as support, but it's not exactly making, you know, that big move up. So I would say be careful with that. And I also don't really see any, well, I shouldn't say that. There's certainly resistance here initially, February of last year, so over a year ago now, at 65. So you don't quite make it down into 65, you make it down to 70. But if it loses 70 decisively, I wouldn't be holding this. Oh, PLYX, you little bugger. Look at this, Joey. Oh no. Oh no. And this one is rocketing back up into 6 1/4. I'm still not taking it. I'm going to leave that one alone. DFTX, the longer term look on the chart, please and thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm involved in. That used to be MindMed. Shout out to Todd today for coming on, man, and giving us good information. Let's look at DFTX. Is it getting rinsed today? Down 2 1/4. But I like this one, man. It's been in this stair step mode. Like, take a look at this. So you have clear buyer at 5, and that I was very much alive to, because it was resistance at 5 and then it was support at 5. This is the daily on DFTX. Let me put it in the chart. So that $5 level was important, and ever since, you know, we kind of held 5. Look at this, bull flag, consolidation, boom, consolidation, boom, consolidation, and it's just been stair-stepping up. Now, yes, we're at multi-year highs here on DFTX, but we need to look wider. Oh, this is not what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, they changed their name. That's why I can't get the full picture. Okay, there it is. Now the MindMed chart comes in. So it used to be MNMD. So look where we're coming from, brother. Yeah. That's not a joke. That was when all the weed stocks were breaking out in 17. So I guess this was running with it, with psilocybin. I guess they had to move as well into 150. Now that is back in 17. This, I believe, are the COVID era highs. Yeah, and that took us to 75. So we have a long way to go before we see anywhere near that. And if you're looking for resistance, to me, you don't look at COVID. You look around here. You look at the down year in 22. Look at that week in August of 22 that we popped up big into about 21.5.
There we go, Sharif. Finally, we get the ball rolling here, brother.
Good, bro.
There it is on USO. Just going with the flow, man. Trying to make life a little bit easier here as USO is continuing to climb. Did I get that fill up there? Yes, we did. All right, man. Rock and roll. Let's see if we can run into 19. Market heading back towards the south side. This is exactly what we want to see right now. 19 would be the dream for this particular trade. We take some off at 77s. A nice little uptick. Any form of a pullback, we wait. Obviously, the more ideal entry would be at 1827. When 18 is 27, but that's not the case. That's not what we got. So another strong push, which I think we have the ability to get. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves or anything along those lines, but nice, strong tape. A couple clean flushes. I think we'll be able to see a little bit stronger of a pop there in USO, especially if the market wants to take an additional leg lower. Tesla rejecting the volume-weighted average price, inverted hammer candles right at VWAP. A good signal right there. Sharif was talking about this one not too long ago. I have Tesla on multiple charts here. Hello. What has this name been up? Nah, we're not going to pull up that, dog. Let's pull up Robinhood, a fan favorite of ours, regardless of what's happening to it on the daily. $73, consecutive downtrend. But there we go, 69 print. One more uptick. We want to try to grab something a little bit higher there, guys. Look at the tape. Clean flushes, and that's what we want to see, especially if the volume starts to get a little bit of an uptick, which it is on the lower time frame. So volume by time profile, not horrible whatsoever. Just realized I'm not in the chat here. Let's see what everybody's up to. But yeah, all right, let's take a little bit more off here on USO. Bang, we're gonna catch that. Well, I'm bidding lower. There we go. Bang, bang. Finally, at least in something. By no means is it gonna cover up what we gave back there on IBIT. I'm trying to look for it. Yeah, why is it not one of my priorities? And I've been watching too many Denong videos there, Sharif. It's not at the top of my list anymore. All right, guys, starting to come back in aggressively. Let's see if we can sit through this pullback, or it's going to stop us out break even, sitting approximately 40% of what I have remaining there. So not too bad. It's definitely a tougher market, guys, unless you're going with the flow into the south side. So shout out to Kyle, Burdett, and all of them who are bearish. It's definitely been working for you, that's for sure, without any question. And hopefully you've had the ability to sit through some of this volatility. Consistent spikes coming in multiple times a day regarding this conflict with Iran. So, I mean, go with the flow, market potentially breaking down, not necessarily dip buying material considering the conflict that we currently have going on. Now, moving forward, let's take a look at what we got going on from our scanner. We went over these names. Let's pick a couple other names that we're not necessarily talking about. Has HIM's move been sustained? I mean, we pull back here. We did go on a little bit of a 2-day move there, and then sure enough, we're starting to head back in towards the south side. Adara, what's going on?
Nasdaq moving lower here. We're seeing a post on X from the White House saying that Iran's entire ballistic missile capacity is functionally destroyed. So they're saying apparently their missile capacity functionally destroyed. Oil and the market both moving lower. If I get any other headlines, I'll let you know, but I did just see that coming through. I thought I would keep you guys posted. Back to you.
Been over to Southeast Asia? I'm curious. Seems Danang or however they would like to pronounce it is the go-to spot right now, considering the cost of living. But apparently, you're not going to find any work. You have to be an expat or digital nomad or someone who's looking to retire there. All right, moving forward. Yeah, what was it? Let's take a look at Ulta. I've seen someone mention this one here. Ulta Beauty for a potential swing. Why you gotta make my life stock Ulta Beauty and see what we got going on. Yeah, that's a really tough look right now, considering this thing was trending for quite some time, right? We'll definitely take that into consideration. You get a 43% move, but then in half the time you get a 23% pullback. So we got a high of 717. I believe there's an upgrade on this with a price target of around that level, around this previous high, but this is an aggressive move lower. Wait for it to bottom. Don't try to grab this falling knife because we clearly see what's going on in the market right now, and if it wants to sell, you're gonna see some aggressive movement over here. Let's see, someone saying Scott Thompson. Yeah, I've seen there's a couple of those incidents going around right now. University of Virginia bomb threat, that's never a good thing, obviously. And someone saying don't believe the hype, Bobby Baldwin. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a mixed bag, but if you go there, you're on a 3-month visa or something along those lines, people do enjoy it. It's just not somewhere that it's tough. If you go during the raining season, it's not that beach oasis that people typically call it. All right, back to USO, guys. We're positive 0.5% here. Can we break through this previous pivot, or is this lower high going to come into play? So we did break that downtrend briefly. If the market has found a bottom, I'm going to suspect somewhat of a downward movement here in USO. So we have to be prepared to get out of this trade just in case it starts to sell off aggressively, and we know about the volatility spikes. Anything can happen at any given moment and send this thing either flushing or skyrocketing in either direction, all right? So that's what I got going on. Ulta Beauty. I would wait on that one for the potential swing unless you're thinking short. And APLD, let's pull up that one as it's hitting up my scanners. APLD, Applied Digital. That's a name that was on a big time run, $42 down to $28, 33% haircut, Sharif.
All right, man. All right, sounds good. Yep, I got nothing on at the moment, so we'll just tag me with anything you guys want me to look at. We'll look at small caps. We'll look at large caps. If you're looking at investing anything, I'll look at that as well. But we're going to steer clear for the moment. Bovin said he sold ELPW. He's drew the line on the 5-minute from, I don't know what AH means, Bovin. Days high to now. Yeah, that one is. It's not my favorite, Bovin. It's still doing, you know, zigging zagging here. So. Let me know how it goes, but wish you luck on that. Brenrek says SOWG. Let's take a look at SOWG. See what we got. SOWG. Super choppy market, my goodness. Let's look at the 5. Yeah, nice breakout there. Good volume coming in midday, really coming in very recently, 1240. A lot of volume per 5-minute bar, 1.3 million on that one on the 1240 bar, a little over 2 million on the 1245, and right now, the one that we're in, at least 700,000 shares. Good look here for SOWG. Let's take a quick look at the shorter term time frame. You can see this one on the 1. So get a look there. Let's see. All right, not too bad, coming down below VWAP, though. Let's see if it defends that $0.50. You know, I've got a bias here that the continuation will either be anemic or non-existent, but here it comes down into 51 or so. VWAP was around 56, a little bit below 56, defending 50 for now. And there were buyers at 50, mind you, but yeah, there were buyers at 50. When we tried to dip in multiple times on these candles, it was getting picked up. That's the ticker SOWG. Sorry, let me throw that in. I thought I literally just did. Oh, hey. It's far away. That's why. SOWG, 60 penny high. Not a bad look there, brother. SPX Surfer, GLXY. Look at that. This is a very, very tight range here, about 22, 22 and a fifth. At the max, 22 and a third to the high side. At the low, it looks like it just keeps coming in at 21.70, 21 and 3/4. I'd play this as a range until it shows you that it's not by breaking out decisively above the range. I would put the range more along 22 and a fifth, so 22.20. And then the low I would put in at, pardon me, 21 and 3/4 is certainly where I'd play the range anyway. So this is GLXY for those who are following along. What does this company do? Galaxy Digital. Look at that one in a second. GLXY. What does this company do? Engage in the business of digital assets and data center infrastructure. Okay, delivering solutions that accelerate progress in finance and AI. Their digital assets platform, I should say, offers institutional access to trading, advisory, asset management, staking, self-custody, and tokenization. They do a whole bunch of different things here. Okay. That's a good look. What does a daily show us on this? Whoa. Wowzers, that's a lot of zigging and zagging there. This looks like one crazy head and shoulders pattern happening, looking to break down below the neck. It keeps like that 22 level we were just looking at there. Look how important of a support level that was on the daily here. I mean, that was kind of where the neckline, if I had to draw the neckline on the head and shoulders, that would be where I would draw it. Now, do you get that breakdown? Well, you did, but you didn't get the measured move, right? Because it's supposed to be essentially from the area high. So let's just say the area high there, let's give it to 42. Where are the closing prints? I'll reject. Yeah, let's go 42 to the neckline, which I think is at 22. So you got $20 move there. So from the neckline at 22 to get down to $22, you'd have to go to $2. So I personally don't see that happening unless something obviously drops off with this company. But other than that, I really wouldn't be looking to trade this. I don't know too much about the company other than, you know, what I just read out there. But thanks for pointing it out. Interesting look here on GLXY. Let's see what else you guys are talking about there. AIFF says, farm trader, is that making a move again? Oh, no, still at volume weighted average price, farm trader. Still hanging out there. It looks like it's still unbroken in the lower high setup on this monster. Continuing to kind of, ever since that 270 break that we got involved with, it's been putting in lower highs, holding though at VWAP. And this is a good area of consolidation though. Remember that bull flag we were talking about, the high of which was around 245, the low 235. So you could have a buy zone here on AIFF. Not like I'm interested though, because the continuation is poop. 245 to 235 buy zone. That would possibly necessitate you buying below VWAP, which I wouldn't recommend. But if you want to take the risk, getting in at 35, giving it to the area low, mid to high 20s, and limiting your risk that way, have at it. But you can kind of see there's really nothing at the highs right now. Everything's kind of breaking down. So that's the look here in small cap gapper world. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. IBRX on news says cool brioche. Let's take a look at that. I know, I like that name too, Katina, man. What's the ticker? IBRX, okay. This is not a bad looking daily chart. I like these ones when they make a big move up, trend down, and then hold that area breakout where it was initial resistance. In my view here, it's $8. So that's where it's been defending. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. You can include that day as well. A possible $8 defend. You're just barely getting above the 10 EMA. That's a daily on IBRX. It's up 11.5% today. Good look. Yeah, not a bad look at all. Now, if you're thinking intraday farm trader, I'm thinking that 8 and 2/3 area could be money. Look at that level right there at 860 to 865 that we couldn't shake. Comes back, pops up into 891. So that could be a level as well. But, I don't know if picking it up and anything other than VWAP today might be the move when they've tried to pick it up at key areas of technical resistance that they just haven't held. And look how aggressively this is coming down now, 890 all the way down to 867. Be careful with IBRX. It could be headed back to the $0.50. Who knows? Joey.
All right. Yeah, so we had Gorev. Yeah, I've been on that narrative there, brother. Give it a break. Maybe bad day for me also. Yeah, good call there. Someone was asking when do you typically call it a day? I'm like, as soon as you get that stomach feeling, especially if you're at home, just you know what, Monday's a new one, right? You don't want to go into the bad weekend with bad vibes. Someone said, hey, Joe, why are you longing USO around the highs? I mean, it's been the strongest asset in the past couple of sessions and for the last little while. So if I'm going to go long on anything, why not go long the strongest, all right? So that's just my thinking. You see buyers continuously stepping in. We are forming lower highs right now, but I mean, at this point, if the market wants to bleed and continuously move lower, I think that we can break this 1880 level. I only have 20% remaining of this position, and I mean, it's been working for us here, right? So why wouldn't I just stick with it? But you see that this downtrend is still kind of intact, and we're starting to form those lower highs unless we can push through. So yeah, that's just my thinking, right? It's just trying to find the strength. We tried going short on, sorry, I didn't even want to, but the same with NVDA, right? So we were using NVDA, but it just seems that sellers are in complete control. We're below the volume weighted average price. So instead of trying to catch the bottom and try to catch a falling knife like we did earlier on IBIT, it didn't work for us, so why not try to make life a little bit easier and go with that? So that's what we have right now on USO, sitting on 20% of our position, waiting for that break of that 1880 mark. And then if that's the case, we take 10% off and sit on the remaining on which we will have at that point. But first things first, we have to break.
First things first.
First things. Now we'll head back to our scanner, guys. What has Pleater been up to? Let's find what Pleater's been up to here. Palantir, that is. I mean, it was selling. That's not Palantir. I don't know why this thing decides to do that one. All right, Palantir selling aggressive 155 all the way down to a low of around 148. And then it had a nice strong rebound, a 3-point rebound. But how are we looking on the daily? I think that's going to be big time telling. We talked about this a while ago, just the support levels being broken. And then sure enough, you dip down. You do get a little bit of a breath, but this could be there could be somewhat of a continuation to the downside. I mean, considering what's going on from a geopolitical standpoint, I thought Palantir would be a little bit stronger. Maybe that's been displayed over the past couple of sessions. Is it going to be sustained? Will it cool down once things around the world start to cool down? Only time will tell. What's AAPD here? There's an Apple Bear. Oh, okay, I've never seen this thing. It's pretty liquid. Let's pull up the 5 minutes. So Apple down, AAPD to the top side. Not too bad of a look there whatsoever. But don't forget, those aren't investment vehicles. A lot of leveraged and inverse leveraged vehicles. So Amazon Bear 1X right now on the way up. So a lot of these hitting the scanner as the market is continuously bleeding, which makes sense, right? What is this here? Schwab. We don't really care about that. Charles Schwab. Get that garbage out of here.
Get that garbage out of here.
21 shares, Bitcoin. Oh, this is Kathy Woods. Boy, we never really trade this thing, nor do we ever talk about it. Liquidity issues, yeah, big time.
ARKB?
Yeah. $42, you get a 42% haircut. Obviously, I'm sure it's pretty close. I don't think there's going to be any form of latency or anything along those lines within that. So keep that in mind. What do I want to look at now? Netflix, NFLX. Let's see what Netflix is up to. NFLX. I can't double click anymore. Yeah, so it is giving a bit of that move back, but what I do like is that the volume isn't really accelerating. You're not seeing that stair step higher. What we got going on here roughly is just a breath, and I think that as soon as the market turns around, we'll see some strong buying here in NFLX.
All right, man, let's start the news segment. It's 101, so a moment too soon, my boy. All right, let's get down to work. Let's talk a little Tesla China EV sales. Well, actually not even EVs. Well, yeah, China EV sales, but deliveries as well. Interesting look, man. They're starting to close the gap a little bit between them and BYD. Let's talk about it. So they reported a strong rebound in Chinese mead. No, they don't make Chinese mead. Chinese-made EV sales with deliveries rising about 35% year over year, up to about a little bit less than 128,000 units. That was during January and February, so that's for both months. The comparison accounts for the 2-week Chinese New Year holiday, which is a slowdown. Obviously, that typically disrupts the production as well as sales during the month of February. The Tesla Shanghai factory, though, doesn't just supply China. They send Model Ys and Model 3s to Europe from there. They send Model Ys and Model 3s all over Asia and the Pacific market. And recent reports indicate that the registrations in Europe, at least in February, they increased finally, showing maybe a steady export demand. They also combined their Chinese production volume, which remains more than double that of the next closest competitor, which is Leap Motor. We're going to pause for a second, talk a little bit more Tesla when we get back from Madeira.
I have a catalyst here. It's Apple adjacent, and it's for HIMX. Himax Technologies is the name of the company. They are a fabless semiconductor manufacturer. The company is Taiwanese. Just a little bit of context. So it is worth noting here, Hunterbrook Research yesterday, in partnership with Citrini, which is the group that released that whole AI speculation earlier. Anyway, so Hunterbrook and Citrini yesterday released a report basically trying to argue for a long and high max and a short and everything else in that fabless semiconductor sector. Now, just now, a couple of minutes ago, Hunterbrook posts on X that apparently Himax employees, or at least one of them, deleted a photo that was taken at Apple Park on LinkedIn and then edit the post that naming Apple, and they changed it to partners. So basically, this is leading to more speculation that there's some kind of Himax and Apple partnership. Furthermore, Hunterbrook also speculating that Himax could be partnering with NVIDIA. So not one, but two Mag 7 possible partners here for HIMX. The stock is popping a little bit again. Just speculation as of now. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. All right, let's talk about some competitive pressures from BYD and other Chinese automakers. Despite the rebound, of course, in Tesla sales, both in China and in Europe, Tesla still does trail BYD as the world's largest EV seller. They took them over, I believe, in 25 for strictly battery electric vehicles. Obviously, they sold more cars in general because they make hybrids, they make gas engines, they make the extended range EVs that we talked about that have gas and battery on there. Again, the gas engine doesn't power the powertrain. But BYD recently unveiled its next generation blade technology. Listen to this, Joseph. Capable of charging between 10 to 97% in 9 minutes.
Oh.
I don't know what kind of, how many, what's it called? 250, I think the superchargers for Tesla are 250 watt. I don't know what these ones are. I know in China they have like 500 though.
I mean,
but,
so with that, so it says 10 to 90. So they're saying if the vehicle's at 10%, you can get that to 97 in roughly 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Or is it that
yes.
10 to? Okay.
Yes. And most people don't charge above 80. So you typically want to keep.
You don't want to always maximize.
Yeah.
The
Only when you're like traveling, you want to charge to 100. Katina man, what's your situation over there? You charging 100? The Katina man's battery told him to go to 100 every time. Okay. But my understanding, some of these models, they don't want you charging fully to 100. They want you just charging to 80. But in any event, 10 to 97 is quite ridiculous. I think most people would agree. I'd like to see, a little bit more in terms of proof other than just, what they tell us in some of these ones. But any comment here on Tesla, bro?
Yeah, I mean, so in the month of February seemed pretty solid, Sharif, around 59,000 cars sold from the Shanghai plant. That's up 91%. So you're almost getting a double there. Not too bad of a look. And then the first couple of months, you're looking here in of the year, that is, you're looking up at approximately 43% increase. Yep. So it's not too horrible, but year over year you're still down on the bigger picture of things.
Sure.
But I think the competitive nature of what we're experiencing with the Chinese EVs is going to play a massive factor. Even though from a month-to-month basis, you may get these upticks here and there. What is the grand scheme of things? And everybody just essentially undercutting each other. At what point and how much longer can Elon continue to slash his prices?
Absolutely, and the margins have been just going down and to the right. Hangry wife, interesting take. Depends on battery, Sharif. Katina Mans can go to 100 since it's LFP, yes. But NMC, the old school or the all-wheel Teslas need 80%. Agreed. I actually did know that, but forgot. Thank you for mentioning that, Hangry wife, for reminding me. I'm getting old man brain here. Let's go on to the next story. We got Apple cutting their App Store fees in China amid regulatory pressure. So margins looking to get compressed for services under which this falls. So they announced they will reduce their App Store commission fees on digital sales in China to 25% from 30%. The changes take effect this coming Sunday, and they follow discussions with Chinese regulators that were concerned about Apple's control over app distributions as well well as payment systems. Smaller developers and subscription services will see reduced rates between 12 and 15%. That aligns more closely with the fee structure that Apple offers to smaller developers in other regions. So just kind of bringing it in line. But there was already growing regulatory scrutiny by the Chinese regulator over Apple, probably in response to the trade war. And recently, they were increasingly criticizing what they called the Apple tax on Apple Store transactions, especially the company's rule that prevents developers from using third-party payment systems. Now, we've seen that change in the U.S. and in Europe, pardon me. The restriction has been a major friction point with large Chinese tech firms such as Tencent, whose mobile gaming revenue depends heavily on in-app purchases. So you can see why this would raise the ire of the Chinese regulator, hurts their own companies. They also face legal pressure from a 2024 Shanghai court, which determined the company had a dominant market position in the App Store. They're actually appealing that decision. Yes, China does have an appellate system. Let's not, so we'll see how that ends up going. But we already know that they're facing similar kinds of pressure all over the world. The European Union, Joey, they reduced their commissions to 17% with an additional 3% payment processing fee because of the DMA, the Digital Markets Act. In Japan, the regulator required Apple to allow alternative App Store and payment systems. In the United States, a court ruling tied to the Epic Games litigation is weakened Apple's ability to collect commissions on some external purchases. So we've been seeing this kind of approach by the regulator on Apple globally. It really hasn't been in one jurisdiction. Last but not least, fee still higher than many markets. So even after the cut in China, Apple's App Store commissions remain higher than in the regions where regulators forced deeper reforms. So we'll have to wait and see how this looks for Apple, but never really a good look when your margins get compressed from a very profitable source like this.
No, exactly, and I think Apple's heavily reliant on China. China sales are absolutely massive, but one thing that they do dodge here, Sharif, is a massive antitrust probe into the company, which could cost them even more money at the end of the day. So I think that's a really smart deal. You're seeing that developers are getting to get involved on the App Store at a decreased price, which can obviously make it a little bit. I mean, you're going to get the compression, but could that make it a little bit cheaper for the consumer as well, too, considering you may not be paying as much for the apps and everything along those lines?
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways that you can look at it, but I think the major thing here is just dodging of the antitrust. Yeah, in my opinion.
What did you see the Marquez Brownlee on that new
on the Mac?
You see that new Mac?
I watched that one.
There's two. There's one that he
no the
first one.
Yeah, the couple.
I watched one. I think the day before yesterday. He loves this.
He likes it. Eh?
Yeah, he's pumped about it.
Really,
I don't anticipate them making a lot of money off that though. It's $5.99.
I think
you know what I'm saying?
Katina Man said this not too long ago. I think it's more of a strategic play, right?
Absolutely.
Get everybody away from the notebook or
get them in the ecosystem.
Suck them into the ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was perfectly said. I had one more thing to say.
It's
on
snowing?
Yeah. Bro,
seriously,
you're supposed to get 5 centimeters, brother.
I've had it up to here with the snow, bro. Is it seriously coming down, Katina Man?
Bro, 5 centimeters. Here, let's take a look at the maps right now. I think the maps.
All right, let's go to the next story. While you're pulling up maps, Joey. Schools are going to eat those things up. I agree, Mr. Leahy. This product, the new cheap Apple Mac, I forget what they're calling it, is a direct competitor for the Chromebooks. Yeah, you on the map, eh? You love the map, eh?
The map,
you're your own meteorologist. I love this.
The map
He's all about that life,
Don't
man.
listen to the numbers, man.
I love you. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Meteorology is one of those ones where you can get it wrong all the time and still collect a paycheck, right?
That's what we say, man.
Yeah.
The only job you can be wrong all the time and still make money.
Let's talk. We got a couple of NVIDIA headlines here, Joey. The first one is about TikTok, and looks like ByteDance is getting their hands on some advanced NVIDIA chips by building their data centers outside of China. So TikTok's parent company ByteDance is expanding its global AI infrastructure by assembling computing power outside of China. The company is working with Malaysia-based Alloy, I don't know how to say this, someone correct me, cloud to deploy large-scale AI servers, specifically in Southeast Asia. ByteDance expects to spend about $1.3 billion on AI infrastructure, which adding about roughly $100 million to what they already spent. Here's the deal.
Ooh.
They will rely heavily on AI servers using NVIDIA's chips, including systems assembled by hardware manufacturers, like the much maligned or beloved, depending on where you fall, super microcomputer. Since February of last year, Alloy has reportedly leased AI servers powered by the H100 to ByteDance. But here's the other deal. NVIDIA's latest Blackwell processors, as we know, are restricted from being exported directly to China, which prompted companies like ByteDance to build infrastructure in third countries where regulations are less restrictive. Countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, Joseph, are becoming increasingly important AI infrastructure hubs due to the favorable regulations and the proximity to Asian tech ecosystems. So apparently they're secured 20,000 GPUs here. Didn't say, though, whether they were the Blackwells.
Yeah. I think that's the play here, Sharif, and I really like some things I was just reading up on it. So they're essentially what ByteDance is doing is outsmarting the U.S. regulators, essentially.
I mean, how hard is it to close this loophole, bro?
Well, clearly not that hard. It's like, hey, we're not going to build in China. We're not going to build in the States. We're going to build, as you just mentioned, that third-party country, which I think is really cool and what I read up on here. So here it is. The plan involves about 500 NVIDIA Blackwell computing systems, equal to roughly around 36,000 B200 supplied through.
So they're getting Blackwell.
They're getting the Blackwell.
Wow.
All right. People familiar with the matter told the news outlet that if the plan moves forward, the hardware involved could cost more than $2.5 billion.
Susan, what are you looking at, Susan? You said big volume spike on what? SCVO? Or let me know. Tag me again, Susan. I see your comment there. Let's go on to the next story, though, also NVIDIA related. This time, it's about competing with the Marvells, with the Broadcoms, because they're very much alive to what we've been talking about on the show, which is the surging demand for custom ASICs, right? Let's talk about this. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is expected to highlight the company's next generation AI chips and systems as competition intensifies. Of course, we know GTC is next week. We're going to be covering that for you here. The company is expected to unveil a full roadmap update for its Rubin architectures. And we know major technology companies like the Metas, like the Amazon, like the Google, they're increasingly developing their own custom chips, aiming to reduce reliance on NVIDIA, of course, because NVIDIA charges them big boy margins. Analysts expect this trend to expand as large cloud providers design, ASICs, application-specific integrated frickin' circuit chips optimized for inference workloads. These custom chips could challenge NVIDIA's dominance if they deliver better performance or I should say, lower cost for specific AI applications, which is exactly what they're doing. They're application-specific integrated circuits. NVIDIA, though, they're not just, taking this lying down. They're expected to counter the competitive pressure with new AI chip architectures as well as enhanced system servers. Analysts anticipate the company could introduce a new GPU variant as well as even a new CPU product, expanding its reach. The company's invested $2 billion also into Luminar technologies, a move analysts say could help develop advanced optical networking. Again, we've been talking a lot about how important the optical networking is. Again, take a look at LITE. I've been telling you guys about that one for a while. Optical interconnects, Joseph, are becoming critical for linking these thousands of GPUs that people are buying, companies are buying in large-scale AI clusters to make kind of sure that they're on the same wave. What's your look here?
Yeah, I mean, they've already struck some deals, so we know that Jensen's already being strategic with the custom ASICs there, Sharif. So, I mean, he's made that, I forget the company name that he struck that deal with.
Grok.
Grok. Grok. Yeah, Grok. So that's good, right? And then what I'm reading that we got the upcoming conference as well, too. He's ready to present like a full-on stack here and just get advanced and try to kind of get ahead of everybody else in the game, the Marvells and the Broadcoms and everything along those lines. So I like what Jensen's really got going on here. He's prepared, man, strategically, and he has a game plan.
I want to throw a curveball your way, though.
Throw it, then.
All right, so we know Jensen has the best gross margins in the game.
Yeah.
Right? 70, I think, let's just say mid-70s, okay? Do these custom ASIC chips, if you believe the report that he's going to release at GTC, does he take a big boy hit on those margins so that he can compete with the TPU, so he can compete with the Tranium?
That's a great question, because we know I read from before is that when these hyperscalers try to build their own chips, they're not as successful. So what I think Jensen has a stranglehold on it until we really start to see them, like the Metas and everything, be able to implement their own chips. I think he'll be able to hold on to those margins.
I agree with that.
So until the hyperscalers fully get something that can perform as good, or if not better, than the whole stack that Jensen's providing, he holds on to that margin.
I agree. Thank you, Vukan Trader. I appreciate you looking good. I'm getting ready to go long USA 500. I wish you the best, man. I hope you print up multiple storms on your end, and keep us updated on the trade. If you want me to look at anything, tag me. Big Bobby Top G. Oh my God, I love it. IBIT moving up. Shout out to Save Man Woman. Always appreciate your comments in the chat, Save Man Woman. You're quite insightful. So keep them coming. Let's take a quick look here at IBIT, because I know Joseph was all over that today. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like we might be moving here back to VWAP here at around 41 1/4, 41 1/3. There is that pre-market level as well at 41 1/5. We'll have to wait and see. Look, IBIT, there's not a whole lot green on the day, maybe in microchip sector, but IBIT's still up 2.5, so I'm not going to complain about that. Uh-oh, Danny boys. That's all you there, Joey. Get it.
All right. So I follow a maritime shipping analysis on YouTube. What's going on with shipping? He's saying that naval escorts can only handle 10% of traffic tops. Also, good insights into who will benefit from the Jones Act. Worth a look. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Adair reported on the Jones Act yesterday about the American flag and, and the exception for that rule as well. So
I mean, you talked about the delay as well, too. So if they're going to release a bunch of barrels, it's still going to take a little bit of time to get to market.
Oh, yeah,
so,
100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Meta may delay avocado, which is supposed to be their next LLM because Llama sucked. As Katina, man.
How do you just bail on one and then go to?
Well, I'll tell you why. Yeah, hey, look, you're not even going to believe this article here about what Meta's going to do, what they're purportedly going to do after the billions of dollars that they spent here. So,
yeah, okay, no, I want.
Let's get to it.
Yeah,
okay. Let me just finish. Meta Platforms is reportedly facing performance issues with its upcoming foundational model, codenamed Avocado. Internal testing has found the system lags behind the newer models from Alphabet's Google as well as Anthropic. The model is expected to power, future chatbots, coding assistants, and AI features, but testing, at least so far, has showed it failed to match the latest Gemini releases from Google, despite the fact that it did better than the old versions. But that's not what you're in the game for. You're in the game to be the best at the moment, not the best, back when. So due to the performance gap, Meta has pushed back the launch of Avocado at least till May. According to the report, executives, I can't believe I'm even reading this, executives are also reportedly discussing temporarily licensing AI technology from Google's Gemini models to support certain Meta AI products. Look, I get why Apple did it. Apple didn't spend several $100 billion. We know that they've spent $2.5 billion on CapEx for the last quarter, but Meta spent up a storm. You're licensing it from Google? The company has not publicly confirmed or the delay or the licensing discussion. So we need to really emphasize here that this is not confirmed. The company hasn't commented on it, so it could be incorrect always. Meta said earlier this year it could spend up to $65 billion on AI infrastructure. Additional AI projects are underway, Joseph, including Mango. That focuses on image and video generation, and a future model will reportedly be called Watermelon.
Watermelon?
I don't know why they have an infinity for these fruits, but whatever, man.
Zuck's gonna have to eat some watermelon, man. He's not been. Listen, let me put it to you this way. Think about it. If Reality Labs was a startup, he'd be underwater. He would not be. It would be. I
would have fired him as a CEO at this point. Wouldn't you?
Been fired, right? Like,
how much money he's spending?
And Zuck is lucky that the majority of his revenue is coming in from digital ads, and he had the social media platform, right?
Yeah.
Right? So if Zuck, eliminate the WhatsApp, eliminate the Instagram, Zuck has not really met certain standards,
No.
right? Like he has not performed in the metaverse. His glasses, they're all right, but still lagging in technology.
I agree.
He hasn't found any form of great success in the LLMs. I don't even know if individuals use Llama or anything along those
I've never
lines.
used it.
So exactly. So it's not in that top tier of the Geminis, of the ChatGPTs, people talking about Anthropic, Claudebot, and everything along those lines. So he is really, really lagged in that department. If it wasn't for the social media aspect of things, Zuck would not be performing very well.
No, and he pivoted. Remember, Llama was supposed to be open source?
Yeah.
And he was trying to, like, the Chinese are doing really well at the open source, and the American counter was supposed to be Llama, right? Because despite OpenAI's name, is very much closed
but he
source.
probably couldn't afford it anymore. Like at the end of the day, he's just
It sucked. Nobody used it.
And he's just spending so much money on the technology. It's like, hey, I don't know, we got to find a profit of this. Now he's added the paid tiers in Instagram, I believe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, yeah, he has not been performing.
That's in Europe, though.
It's in Europe, but I mean, it's,
for the regulator, though. Hypercube, they will be using Gemini to help their models catch up. They won't be putting Gemini into production. Yeah, I really hope not. I think that that's actually a good distinction there. Let's go on to the next.
Sorry, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing saying, sorry if I mispronounce your name, but he's saying Meta will go back up. Yeah, but I believe it's going to be on the strength and on the back of its social media platforms, the WhatsApp, the Facebooks, or the Meta, whatever they call it, and the Instagrams. I don't think it's going to be necessarily right now because he's monetizing Llama and Avocado.
No, I don't agree. I mean, sorry, I 100% agree. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be monetizing much at all other than ads. Let's talk about Amazon reportedly moving Prime Day to late June. Okay. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but a lot of people base their sales around Prime Day. So let's talk about this. Reportedly planning and moving its annual Prime Day sales, which is not even a day anymore, it's like a week, event to late June instead of July. The earlier timing could ripple across the retail industry as your Walmarts, your Targets, Costco's, Best Buy, Dick's Sporting Goods, even Etsy and Wayfair. They typically plan competing promotions around the Amazon event. Prime Day first launched, in case you don't know what the hell's going on here, July 15th, 2015. So we're going on our 11th year. Originally running as a 24-hour promotion just for Prime members, the event has since expanded into a multi-day global sales promotion. Over time, of course, Prime Day has become one of the biggest online shopping events of the year, often rivaling or even exceeding Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That's how important it is. Because of its scale, Prime Day now forces competitors, like the ones I listed, to adjust their summer promotional calendars, often launching overlapping discount events to capture consumer spending. You make anything of this?
But see, what I'm reading here, Sharif, Amazon's actually declining to respond to the report.
Always,
yeah. So now their 12th year, the July Prime Day sales generated an estimated $24 billion over 4 days in 2025, about twice what U.S. consumers spent overall at online retails on Black Friday last year. So doubling Black Friday sales according to the data. So, I mean, I don't know what moving it up a month is going to do, but they're declining to respond to
Yeah, I know you never really know. Obviously, again, we always want to say unless the company is really confirmed this.
Yeah, exactly, right? So they're not, do you do any shop?
I don't around this time, but you know what I do? When I find a product that I want, I look, so let's just say, for example, I'm looking for a new iPad, right? Like, it'll be used. It won't be brand new, otherwise I get it from Apple. So I'll basically spend 2-3 weeks scouring Marketplace, Kijiji, which is like kind of like Craigslist.
Kind of around
to get the best deal, right? And then, typically, I hate to put it this way, but people who are, in a bit of a pinch, they're willing to be but you got to give yourself some time, right?
I remember my buddy was trying to tell me, he's like, yeah, even PS5s these days are going for a little bit cheaper, right? Because people
you can see it on Marketplace. Right? Prices are dropping for like everything. Designer shoes, electronics, their prices are dropping, at least in the used market. I'm not talking about new. Adara, please give us your take on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, my thing is, for one, the fact that they declined to comment, I find actually gives, to me, more credence to the report, because if there was nothing to say, they might just deny it, right? And I'm not saying that's a hard and fast rule, but I have noticed more often if you decline to comment, there's maybe more of a chance of it's being real, and you're just mad you got scooped, so you don't want to say anything to scoop yourself further. So that's just my opinion on that. But again, slightly educated opinion there. Now, with regards to why they would move it, I think it's like I kind of like the idea of catching your competitors off guard. Like, hey, you think we're going to do it early mid-July? We're going to bump that by like a couple weeks to a month. We're going to, you know, surprise you. And I think, and maybe that's even why they don't want to comment further, because if this is just a report, there's also the chance like, okay, other competitors hear this, they try to change their sales day as a response, and then, oh, psych, it's not real, or it is real, and you didn't react. Like, I think they kind of have some kind of strategic advantage here. I'm not sure how they're going to play it. But furthermore, the fact that as I read in one of the articles I first was hearing about this notably pushes them from having Prime Day in Q3 to having Prime Day in Q2. So if they're not going to make Q2 sales, oh, hey, let's, you know, toss a discount in there. Like, I'm not saying that is what's happening, but I am saying that this is the type of company where I do feel like you could, you know, kind of throw some fun and spice in here, because they have done things with earnings in the past that are like kind of eyebrow raising. And I pulled up this quote myself because I didn't want anyone to think I was making this up. But for Q2 2025, guiding forward to Q2 2024, so this is 2 years ago, I guess their guidance wasn't as good as people thought it would be. So CFO Brian Olsavsky basically blamed the Olympics and the assassination attempt of Donald Trump by saying, quote, no matter what you're selling or providing to a customer base, customers only have so much attention, and things like the Olympics, although they don't happen that often, we do see different traffic patterns around those events. The point I'm trying to make is they're fully willing to make weird excuses for missing earnings. I would totally see them, like, you know, fudging this by a quarter just to kind of try to beef up sales in their minds for Q2 rather than Q3. That's just my opinion, and it got a little bit, you know, sidetracked in rabbit holes here. But again, if I'm going to make this type of statement, I do want to back it up. So that is, you know, past comment from CFO to show I think that Amazon is very capable of, you know, creative reasoning behind their decisions.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Let's talk a little oil. Oil, USO anyways, flat on the day, down 0.16, but you know, when you look at it, the bigger picture, still another strong week, whether you're looking at Brent or West Texas Intermediate. Brent looking to be about 9%, give or take, up on the week after a massive 27.9% surge last week. That's the biggest jump on Brent since the pandemic. WTI also heading into the end of the week, possibly with a 6% print. We'll have to wait to see how it ends up going, but it had its largest week last week since 1983. The U.S. and Israel, of course, and Iran are all engaged in a conflict, and it's going into its third week. As President Trump signaled, the conflict could continue. Meanwhile, Iran's leadership has vowed to keep fighting. Not going to get into the details of all that, but several foreign vessels near the Strait of Hormuz have been struck by ammunition. We're seeing depots now being hit. We're seeing, you know, more reports about mines being laid in the strait. It carries that strait, of course, the Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 1/5 of the global oil supply, and more than 30% of the seafaring oil that makes its way over the oceans and not through pipelines and other means. The White House has also temporarily eased sanctions on certain Russian exports in an attempt to stabilize the global supply and dampen prices. Separately, Joseph, we've heard reports between, you know, India reaching out to Iran to make sure, you know, that they can get their LNG.
The liquid, yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
and for other, let's just say energy purposes, whether it's oil or liquefied natural gas. But this is, it's going on to the third week and prices remain high.
Yeah. So I was just reading a headline here. So Iran arranging special transport to send sailors back from India. But I found this interesting here, Sharif, a macro analyst saying that a potential Fed rate cut is not good for the current geopolitical and macroeconomic standpoint. He said a rate cut could be devastating. So what he's saying the price and how we were reacting in the oil market with what we got going on and a potential supply restraint is good, because even though, in a way, because you want to have somewhat of a demand destruction, and if you have that rate cut come into play, it could be even worse, apparently. So.
Okay. Well, certainly there's inflation.
Right, the bond yields would go soaring, everything along those lines. So.
All right, let's talk a little Bitcoin here, guys. I think it's still up on the day. Let's check. So we're at 71.6. We're up 1.7%. ETH also up above 2,100 at the moment. It pushed up into 72,100, reclaiming the 50-day moving average. Analysts say a sustained hold, though, above that 50-day could attract additional buyers as well as algorithmic flows. And this is what I spoke about in the morning. This was new to me. I didn't know this because I'm not an options trader. But market makers in Bitcoin options markets currently hold, at least at the time of the writing of this article, roughly $3 billion of something called short gamma exposure at about the $75,000 strike price. When dealers are short gamma, rising prices force them to buy Bitcoin to hedge their exposure, which has the effect of amplifying those upwards moves like short covering. This hedging activity can create what they call self-reinforcing volatility, potentially accelerating the price action if Bitcoin moves quickly towards that $75,000 mark where that $3 billion lies. Options market makers, though, the dealer hedging here dynamics is also important. So options market makers typically maintain or try to maintain a neutral exposure by adjusting their positions as price moves. However, in a short gamma environment, upward price movements trigger additional buying. This dynamic, Joey, has historically contributed to the rapid price accelerations near large option strikes. What does the chain show for BTC? Do we have BTC?
I think, no, I don't think.
No?
You can't. No, you can't just
do
say
it,
contracts. No.
All right.
So I think maybe they might be referring to this $45 mark. This is where you would see that negative gamma really come into play there, Sharif. So when price starts to increase, you have hedging, but they also want to push price a little bit lower. So that does make a little bit of sense there from the Bitcoin standpoint. I mean, this is what I thought from the get-go as soon as this derivative really came into play, is that we wouldn't see these 40% pullbacks, 45% pullbacks in the actual underlying asset, but that wasn't necessarily the case. And I remember somebody mentioned in the chat, and I didn't really look anything up, but I found it interesting, and I wouldn't put it past it, but they said some of the Bitcoin whales said as long as Michael Saylor continues, I mean, I wouldn't hold too much, continues to buy this stuff, they're going to try to continuously sell off their Bitcoin. But I also referred to a point as well, too, which I did read up, and what I do know is that for quite some time we were consolidating in that $100,000 mark, but what was going on during that time is just a transfer from the whales into the institutions, all right? So, and we didn't necessarily have that aggressive selling, but as it started to pick up and amplify, there was more of a distribution. And I mean, we have to take it into consideration. For every seller, there's a buyer. So who is buying this stuff up at a 45% discount from its previous high? And if I put my bottom dollar on it, it's most likely the market makers. The retail guys, we experienced massive liquidations, so they're cash strapped when it comes to the crypto space. It was I think it was the November, event where it was like November 10th or 11th or something along those lines, mass liquidations. A couple weeks later, you have another mass liquidation event. So someone is buying this stuff up because, Sharif, I can't just sell my Bitcoin and there not be another participant on the other side, right?
Well
so who's buying this stuff?
Good point. Let's talk. Adobe CEO transition and AI revenue scrutiny. Adobe reported earnings yesterday after the bell. CEO Shantanu Narayan, who has led the company for almost 2 decades, plans to step down after a successor is found to lead the company, what they're calling the AI phase of the company. I guess we were in the SaaS phase. Now we're moving into the AI phase. He's credited, the outgoing CEO that is, with transitioning Adobe from a dominant subscription dominant subscription software platform. He's going to remain involved during the transition and serve as a board chair until the company searches for a replacement. In terms of earnings, Q1 profit, that's a little bit less than $2 billion on the quarter, 1.89, compared with the 1.81 they brought in last year. If you're looking at it from an EPS perspective, we're talking about $6.06. That beats the 5.87 expected by analysts. That is adjusted, of course. Revenue up 12% year over year on the quarter, taking home about $6.4 billion. That's slightly ahead of the expectations. Let's talk about that AI strategy, though. So they actually reported their first annual recurring revenue for AI, and that more than tripled year over year, reaching about $26.06 billion in ARR, annual recurring revenue. That matches analyst expectations. Management, though, they continue integrating AI across all their product suite, especially embedding third-party AI models and its own Firefly generative AI tools into software such as Photoshop, such as Premiere Pro. Randy, I know you don't really care about those. There's like RAM and And the production boys, we'll call them, production crew. So they're including AI in that. It's kind of funny here. The irony is not lost on me at all that AI is hurting them, but they're obviously moving into the AI phase. We'll have to see how that works out for them. Investor concerns, though, Joseph, persist that AI-powered tools could disrupt Adobe's traditional creative software dominance. Now, with respect to their guidance, they reaffirmed full-year guidance. For the current quarter, though, the company expects revenue to be between $6.43 billion up to $6.48, with adjusted EPS coming in at $5.80 to $5.85. That's roughly in line with expectations. So we'll have to see how that all goes, of course. But what do you make of this report and the outgoing CEO, the AI problems, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we're experiencing here is that there's an expectation that you would see a little bit of an acceleration within their AI segment, obviously using the platform, but that doesn't seem to necessarily be the case. And with that being said, this negative sentiment that we've experienced for quite some time in Adobe, investors think that's going to continue and that's going to linger on until some drastic changes are made.
Yeah, tough look here.
Yeah.
Especially, do you want to show the chart?
Yeah,
I think we should probably show them, yeah, because just before we get a Darius comment here, let's show the ADBE chart. And if you're queasy, you may want to look away. It's not good.
When the boys peak out?
So, well, you know, a lot of people peaked out at this time, like not to dunk on them. That was when Jerome Powell said that that inflation wasn't transitory. And we are right back at those levels of the summer of 22. We're actually below, man. Jeez freaking Louise. So, okay, everybody got clipped at this time, right? So lost about 61.5% of its value. Right now, given the current price, we're about 63.75% lower than where we were in the fall of 21.
How many days from that previous pivot high have we been?
This is a weekly.
Down?
What do you mean?
Oh,
this is a weekly chart.
Daily. That's even
weekly.
Worse, man.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, weekly, how many weeks is that? So that seems like
a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So this is the Adobe chart, guys. A bit of a tough look. Never want to dunk on anybody, but the market's telling us something here. And why don't you tell us what your opinion is, Adara?
Yeah, so my opinion is, and I think this is going to be kind of a spicy one, as my opinions sometimes are on this, but here's the thing. This was not in and of itself a bad quarter, and I'm just going to quickly see if I can grab this. I'm working on a visual right now also on the CEO transition stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute, but in the meantime, I want to show this. So, subscription revenue is the only thing that's growing. So if you want to be a dominant subscription service, like, how is Shantanu not helping you with that, right? In my humble opinion. And also from a sequential standpoint, I mean, they were growing sequentially on this too, on subscription. So I do have to wonder why this choice was made for the CEO transition. Like, again, he was there for a long time. You want new blood, but I do think there is a difference between a stock underperforming and a company underperforming. Now, I would not say in and of itself, as of right now, that Adobe is underperforming as a company. It is as a stock. I'm not arguing that. But I think there is, as Obi would say, a distinct difference between these two things. And therefore, I think if we have this CEO turnover in a company where, you know, by all accounts, as far as I can tell, the company itself was not having issues. I mean, they're doing, this was a fine report. It really just seems like they're worried about the SaaS we get. And so, we have to show we're AI focused. Let's get rid of the old guy and bring in someone new. I kind of find this to be potentially a little hasty. Someone in the chat here, Hangry Wife, saying transitioning is hip these days. And I mean, I think if you take this to like the CEO's standpoint, I do think these CEO transitions are perhaps coming a bit too hip. But I also, you know, this infographic has not come out yet. I'm working on it right now. I hope to have it out by the end of the day. But I really just wanted to take a look back and see, of these recent CEO transitions over the last 2 years, how does the market react to them? Now, in the case of like on the first day, so Boeing. Market really loved getting a new Boeing CEO. They loved getting a new Starbucks CEO, as we know. They loved when we got rid of the Nike CEO, John Donahoe, like getting rid of Kerry Wheeler at Open Door they really liked. But then when it comes to other announcements, for example, Warren Buffett, not well received. The leaving of Bob Iger, I mean, kind of neutral, right? So the point I'm trying to make is I think the fact that we're a little bit lower on this, earnings aside, because I don't think this sell-off was a reaction to the report. I think it was a reaction to the CEO announcement, given the timing of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that this might be a decision that Adobe comes to regret or find was premature, especially because they seem to have made it without even having any kind of CEO transition in place. If you don't know who you're going to be replacing your current person with, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know I've ranted a bit here, but I do have some qualms, and that infographic will hopefully be out by the close. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dara. All right, Ulta Beauty stock drops after a soft growth outlook. Let's talk about this. They warned that sales growth will slow this fiscal year, and the reason they're blaming is consumers are becoming more selective and they're shifting towards value-focused purchases. CEO Keisha Steelman said the shoppers remain resilient, but are increasingly cautious about discretionary spending. We looked at the consumer staples chart versus the consumer discretionary chart on the ETFs. You can kind of see that. There was some, local pullbacks on both, but the beauty retailer said it will avoid aggressive promotional activity, I'm assuming to maintain margins, even though the industry is becoming more competitive with consumers looking for deals. They want to protect their margins, I'm assuming here. They expect sales to grow about 6 to 7% this year. That's a marked slowdown from what it was last year. It was a little shy of 10%, 9.7, signaling, of course, moderation in demand across the cosmetics category. Not going to go through all this, but they projected earnings per share to be about $28.05 to $28.55. That's for full year, of course, with comparable sales growth of 2.5% to 3.5%. Analysts were looking for a lot more, man. They wanted $13.15 billion in revenue. That would equal about 6.1% growth, and they were looking for EPS to be $28.64. So even the top end of the range there, $28.55, doesn't meet the EPS expectations by the street. Recent quarter performance, we're talking about Q4 here. They reported net income of $356.7 million. That's about $8 and a penny per share, compared with $393 last year and $8.46 per share. So year over year, even though, we always say there's no good or bad, there's better or worse, this is worse than last year, okay? Revenue did rise 12% up to $3.9 billion. That beat estimates of $3.84. Same store sales increased 5.8%. That outperformed the forecast of 4.3. So you got to wonder if same store sales increased, then was it transaction revenue, per transaction revenue that dropped? Why are they missing? It was driven by higher average ticket size and increased transaction volumes. Okay, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Oh, sorry, I'm reading this the wrong way. 5.8% increase versus 4.3 last year. I got it. We got to pause for a second. We got to go to Adara with breaking news.
More news out of the Middle East. So Ambry, which is like a maritime security type company, they said that they're hearing a report from one of their merchant vessels that they heard a sound of an explosion at an undetermined distance from the vessel. This would be near the Al Sharjah anchorage in UAE. Now, apparently Ambry has further said that there was no damage to the vessel or injuries to the crew that had been reported, but just be aware, we are hearing of more potential reported explosions in the Middle East, specifically in the UAE. Back to you.
Much there. All right, so despite the solid quarterly results, Ulta shares, let's see where they're at right now. Joey, I don't even have this on my watch list. I don't have the cosmetics watch list. 12.5% was down about 8.
Make that right there. I give you 2 tickers right now, Ulta and ALF.
All right, bro. I'm gonna hold off.
Yeah.
I got enough on there. All right, it was down 8% after hours, selling off more. Just got into the low a day not long ago. Investors are focused on the slower growth outlook rather than any specific quarter. Prior to the drop, though, Joey, the stock had gained about 90% over the past year, raising expectations. The guidance implies margin pressure and slower demand growth, even as the company gains market share within its space. Thoughts?
Yeah. So what I found is that they're not really going to be heading into the promotion, so you're not going to see very much of a discount. I'm thinking that this can act potentially as a double-edged sword because in the statement they also mentioned that, hey, consumers are looking more for value, right? So if you're not going to be cutting your price, then what are you going to do? Are you willing to lose some customers in order to kind of maintain the margins?
I think so.
Right? So I think that's going to be the narrative in which happens with Ulta Beauty, and that's kind of just where my mind is sitting. But 90% over the past year isn't horrible whatsoever, but you did see it take an aggressive move lower here today.
Let's take a quick look at the chart before we get Adair's look here on Ulta, but 90%, that's healthy. Is it healthy within the wider time frame? This is the weekly. Okay, so we did. Yeah, man. We got into all-time highs about About a month ago, yeah. So that was the week of February 17th. We made a high there, all-time high of 714.97. So they're 715 or thereabouts. This is a good-looking chart, but that is an ugly drop.
Sure. It's the guidance, right? Like
It's a big boy guy. Dude, in a month, it's lost a quarter of its value.
Yeah.
In a month.
It's not fun. Dude, the USO is going off right now.
Okay, you want to talk about it?
Yeah,
or?
here it is. Like I'm not in it, or I'm out of it now. I was long earlier. It's
going green.
This thing's going absolutely bonkers. I wouldn't be surprised if you see 120 at the end of the day. There is a supply zone on the options chain. I don't know how much that's going to come into play, but now you're positive. You're up 1%, and this thing is really starting to skyrocket past the high of the day.
Bro, Meta's down 4%, and you got to assume it's this avocado crap and licensing with Gemini. That is insane. He needs to be made to pay for this, bro, because if you're spending that much money, shareholders need ROI. They need return on their investment.
Absolutely.
Like, what is this guy doing?
I mean, they would like, they don't need it. They would like return on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Hit the sell button.
Yeah, I agree. But hey, man, this is what I was saying about Zuck before. Like, if it wasn't for the social media, would he be performing that well?
No.
Like, no, not
Devices are bad.
Right, his devices aren't the best. So.
All right, Adara, give us your take on...
Tesla's moving to the south side as well, too, looking like it's going to break that 392 support at this pace. Market new low of the day as well, too, guys.
Adara, give us your take on Ulta.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say here first, just with USO, Petrobras, according to its CEO, not looking into adjusting gasoline prices in the coming days. Other most recent headline was that Ambry, which, of course, that global merchant shipping security company, said that one of their vessels reported hearing an explosion sound, though everyone is apparently alive and well. Now, with Ulta, I think one thing I did actually like about this report, and I'm just going to quickly, if you could not show my screen for a second while I pull this up, that's my bad, I should have been ready. I think one thing I do like with this is that we did have an acceleration in the annual revenue growth. Like, I'll zoom out, here you go. So, 2023 revenue was $11.21 billion. 2024 revenue, $11.3 billion. 2025 revenue, $12.4 billion. So kind of consolidate in the revenue and then it grows. So I kind of like that. I'm not going to say a breakout because quite obviously it's not, but it is, I think, a move in the right direction. So I will give Ulta some credit for that. 38% of their revenue or their net sales, still comes from cosmetics. That's just over a third, but it is actually less than last quarter. Last quarter, 41% of their revenue came from cosmetics. So, I mean, if you're going to stop these promotions, I kind of wonder what their plan is going forward. I mean, again, probably a margin decision, but yeah, I kind of wonder how next quarter is going to look, because as much as we're upset about the guidance, I do think that this annual revenue report, regardless of what happened this quarter, probably a step in the right direction. Let's see how things go going forward for ULTA. From a business standpoint, not a company that I, like from a makeup perspective, have really looked at or cared about, so I can't comment on that at all for them.
Fair enough. Let's talk about Lennar. Missing estimates as the housing metrics continue to weaken. Lennar reported Q1 revenue of $6.62 billion. That is down 13.33% year over year and below the consensus estimate of 6.83. So they missed by almost $200 million there. In fact, more. That's signaling, obviously, everything that we know. Softer housing demand compared with last year. I don't think housing demand was even strong last year, but whatever. Earnings per share came in at 88 pennies, sharply lower than the $2.14 per share they brought in a year ago, and it missed the analyst expectations by a lot, 8 pennies. The street wanted 96 pennies instead of the 88 they got. The weaker headline results highlight the continued pressure in the home building sector as higher interest rates and affordability concerns weigh on the housing activity. Now, I do understand that a housing bill was passed in the Senate, a rare, let's be honest, a rare bipartisan effort. Let's see what it does in the House. I don't know the details of it. Maybe you guys can apprise me in that in the chat. Let's talk about some key housing metrics here from Lennar. Home deliveries averaged about $374,000 per home. That's slightly above the $369.6 expected by analysts. That suggests, of course, that pricing remains relatively resilient despite demand softness. Active communities totaled a little bit less than 1,700. That is below the 1,784 expected, again, pointing to fewer selling locations and the potential for slower development expansion. Home deliveries came in at 15,588 units. That is above, finally, some of the analysts' expectations here, which was 14,938. while new home orders totaled 18,515, slightly below, that's a slight miss there, of 18,572, showing mixed demand signals. Let's talk about the different segment revenue here. They got three. Home building revenue, that came to 6.3 billion. That was slightly below. We talked about the 6.53. Home building sales revenue, 6.27 billion. That's down 13.4% sequentially, or sorry, not sequentially, from last year, highlighting the slowdown in overall housing transactions. Financial services revenue, their smallest segment, totaled 215.16 million. That also missed estimates of $257.4 million, and it declined 22% year over year. Shares dropped about 20% over the past month. Before we get to your comments, Joey, let's take a quick look at LEN.
Yeah. USO new high of the day as well.
New high of the day, up 1.15.
NVDA low of the day.
So this is the weekly chart on LEN. Looks like we topped out all-time highs in late 24. I want to say September of 24. Getting into that, what was that price there? It was an ugly reversal candle, by the way. 193.37. Let's just go from the wick high to the wick low this morning. Lost about 53. I would say a little bit less than 50% of its value, Joey, based upon the closing prices. It's also lost that $100 area. What's your thought?
I have a lot of thoughts, actually, to be honest with you on this one, Sharif. Unfortunately, it delivered 5% less homes compared to last year. Apparently, just the increase in price and housing expenses really dragging the market, increase in interest rates as well, elevated interest rates obviously having an effect. But I kind of want to lead this conversation to our home base here.
All right.
So we started to experience somewhat of a decline in housing prices. Condo prices more or less, but the average house, it's still holding on roughly relatively well. We know from a GDP standpoint we're flat. We're not growing as an economy. Do you think that we are going to see any more of a decline from a GDP standpoint? Do you think we get into that negative kind of area,
Possibly.
in that gray area? And if that's the case, if we continuously don't see a rapid decline in the houses, right? Like, I don't think that we're going to hit that 20%. But what happens when the economy turns around, say, 5 to 8 years from now? How much would that have an increase in the current prices that we have right now, considering the economy isn't growing, but the actual housing prices, aside from the condos, is somewhat stable?
Okay, so I have a couple of comments. I think that the previous administration in this country did two things. One, they didn't want to destroy Canadians' wealth. Most Canadians' wealth is tied to real estate.
Absolutely.
So one, they kept rates historically low. I get that's the Bank of Canada, but let's cut the crap. There's overlap. Number two, they kept a steady flow of immigrants, record levels of immigrants. Why? Two reasons. One, they got to live somewhere. If they got to live somewhere, that props up housing. Two, they got to buy in order to live. So what does that do? That increases GDP. But it doesn't increase GDP per capita. It increases the top line GDP, but individually, Canadians have not been wealthier for about 10 years per capita. So let me get to the point. So when we do finally bottom out, you're not, we don't know, but you're not going to have that artificial insertion of demand vis-a-vis
the transitory, maybe.
It was bringing in about like record number of immigrants, right?
A couple million.
And they're not doing that anymore. So you feel that the actual organic growth here is not going to be dependent upon bringing in immigrants to prop up housing and to keep Canadians rich and to expend again and to keep that headline number GDP up. So I feel that it will be sustainable because it's not going to be dependent on that.
So you're saying that once the economy does turn around, we're going to see an increase in the housing prices once again?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And what we were talking about,
maybe not at the same speed.
Maybe not at the same accelerant. Exactly.
No, it was ridiculous, bro.
So the issue that we had here is that
nor do you have historically low rates. You had basically 0% interest for a decade and a half. That's not going to happen anymore.
No, that's not going to happen. So what we had essentially is population growth exceeding houses being built, which caused right. So that was the big issue. We had that massive wave of immigration where our economy was still only growing at 1%. So if we're not going to have that or sustain, how much longer is it going to take for this economy to turn around?
That's what I don't know, bro. It depends on your boy Carney and how he does. Look, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's doing a good job.
But I mean, if the previous individual did 9 years, Carney can probably do a pretty long time.
We'll see. He looks like he's going to get a majority here. Anyway, we got to go to Adair.
I need to talk here about some of these comments coming from S&P. They're weighing in on the impacts of this Middle East tensions on different areas of the market. They think that overall that it could have long-lasting impacts on the U.S. economy and credit conditions. So another score against credit. However, they do not expect the Middle East tensions to materially affect U.S. banks. So I think credit could be affected, the economy could be affected, but not necessarily banks. However, they did also say, and this is kind of as expected, they do expect U.S. oil and gas producers to benefit from elevated oil prices due to the conflict. So again, S&P commenting on how they expect the U.S. economy in various sectors to be impacted by the tensions. Back to you.
Thank you. AIP was yesterday. Palantir CEO Alex Karp said AI is giving the U.S. and its allies a strategic advantage, of course, as tensions escalate across the world and the Middle East, specifically Iran. Speaking at the AIP conference, Karp argued America's strength comes not only from military capability, but also from its leadership in AI development, calling the AI revolution uniquely American. Disagree. China's building as well, and he knows that. Palantir's Project Maven platform plays a major role in military operations, enabling integration of satellite imagery, surveillance, feeds, operational data, all into a unified decision-making system separately. So this Maven system runs on Claude.
Yeah.
You know what Claude was doing before the war in Iran? It was choosing the targets. It was like, so that it would be like a cohesive, coordinated attack. It was choosing targets. It wasn't executing without human intervention. That's not what I mean to say.
Yeah.
But it was actually picking targets for the most amount of damage possible. So very much intertwined is Anthropic's, Anthropic's LLM into Maven. The AI system uses machine learning to analyze large data sets from sensors, satellites, intelligence sources, all to identify targets and support battlefield coordination. He said, Karp, that is, said tools like Maven allow allied forces to coordinate military responses and share real-time intelligence across multiple partners, which obviously strengthens defense capabilities. I can keep going on here. Do you want to comment about Palantir's involvement in the war, and how come we're not seeing a huge boost here in the price of Palantir?
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, because I was watching a couple of videos a while ago of how much Palantir is getting integrated into kind of this new type of warfare that we've been referring to, the autonomous Humvee, where it can select the seeking of organic material, which Alex Karp wants to get into. So I'm kind of surprised on that front, the government contracts and everything along those. Dude, did you see that Humvee that was the Palantir tech was being integrated into it?
No,
like
I didn't watch AIP. Yeah.
Dude, it's just like, it's just seeking organic material, essentially. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's pretty crazy, to be honest with you, the amount of data it can collect and translate it and use it, so you're not actually having the loss of life. You just have these mechanical kind of machines in there battling for you.
I don't want to create any controversy here, but we all know about the girls' school, whatever you make of that. Some people are saying that that was chosen by the AI. So I don't know if that's a hallucination.
Oh, I heard about.
Or it could be like what the some of the tactics in the Middle East is to place military targets in civilian infrastructure. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. An investigation.
But weren't
hopefully
they both going? Not to get too deep into it, didn't each party said the other people did it? One said right. So that's how it typically is, right?
We're not taking a position either way. At least I'm not, right?
No, there's no way.
We'll have to find out exactly what happened.
He said, she said, essentially. They did it. No, they did it. So and so on and so forth.
All right, Adair, give us your take on Palantir.
Yeah, I will say, I think the timing of the AIP con was very strategic in terms of having it, like, within a couple weeks if we start these tensions, Palantir's having a conference. And I think Alex Karp is the type where I do think that was intentional. So, or at least it could have been, I think he definitely emphasized that angle yesterday. I think, honestly, though, as Joe was saying, you might expect this company to do a little bit better given the current tensions, and I don't necessarily think he took advantage of that in his keynote speech. Like, he spent some time in the keynote speech talking about, you guys all know what it's like when news articles write fake stories about your company, just ignore it. And I'm like, I think you could have made a much stronger case here. His keynote was also very short, which I think, allowed it to be a lot tighter than last year's, which was very, meandering and often off topic. But again, this one tight, but also kind of off topic. So yeah, I think it's a little bit unfortunate. While we know Alex Karp is very aware of the tensions, and I do think this timing was strategic. I think it's a tough, I think it's tough, because, it's maybe a situation where you don't even really want to be seen like you're capitalizing on these tensions. And then I think the second point that has to be made here is that, you know, as Sharif and Joe were saying, it's also led to a lot of controversy for Palantir for being involved in this industry. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to kind of see how this all shakes out for PLTR. Right now, though, I don't think the market is